I'm about to go into a main game. Now, I have been known in some previous recordings to say things at the start of the recording like, this one's going to be short. And it turns out to not be short. Because I think I'm only going to record for so long, and it turns out to record for much longer. I will say this, though. This one will be long. Because it's a main game. Now, usually at the start of these, I try to make a guess as to... I'm going to continue just so that the music dies down. There we go. Doesn't really die down, it's a little bit less obnoxious. Try to make a guess as to who is going to die. And again, unlike Phoenix Wright or Danganronpa, we don't really have evidence as to who did it. Because we're not even trying to figure out a murderer, we're just trying to figure out who we're going to vote for. So it's much harder to predict. We do have some, evidence, I guess you'd call it. We have these which show percentages, names and occupations. Some of these are already there. They're not with us in the remaining 8 characters, likely because they died in the first trial, is what the game's trying to get at. So when we were sanding down a key, they were dying. I don't know what the percentages are. Maybe something to do with AI copies of them. There's an AI copy of everyone except Rekko because her copy got her head blown off. But the rest of them do. We have a stun gun that was used to knock out Kyutaro. Apparently I forgot, there's some dialogue about it, but I accidentally skipped, which was a mistake. But something to do with it not having a charge in it. We have a tablet you can use to check your roll card found next to the fainted Kyutaro in the rubble room. This suggests that it's Kyutaro's, however, this little blurb here doesn't say it was Kyutaro's, it says it was found next to Kyutaro. Filled by, we have a film, footage of Kyutaro placing cards. Okay. This victim disc found on 1F. It showed somewhat like a pit in the pendulum situation, except without the rats. Victim video now shows a policewoman dying in the first trial, and the man in front looked like Kaiji. That's all we really have for evidence. It doesn't really show us who we're going to vote for. So let's go through the characters one by one, I guess. So now, she was acting a little bit unnerved at one point. Which made me think that she may have had sacrifice card, and that was before the trade that gave Sarah the sacrifice card. However, it seems unlikely that now would trade to Sarah the sacrifice card. She would push it on some other person, like Kitaro. However, trading with Kitaro might seem kind of futile because Kitaro has a lot of trades because he had a lot of tokens. She also was on the stairs when we were searching around at the very last sequence up by the winner's room. But then, we went back into the winner's room, we came back to the stairs and she was gone. Then a trade, quote unquote, happened. And then we ended up with the commoner card, and we being Sarah. And then it's like the player character and I for some reason I refer to it as we. Because even though I am the player character and the player character is me. And by trading with Sarah, somehow gave herself, in order for her to, she wasn't basically in eye shot, which may suggest that she did the trade and she has a sacrifice card. Why you would trade if you didn't have the sacrifice card is kind of strange. That's what makes that last trade so strange, is because someone took the sacrifice card via trade. They did not push it, which seems to indicate maybe it was a hack job by Sal that was incompetent or something, or he got rid of the sacrifice card entirely, or it was there'll be a redo, as Miley hinted at, or it was someone just trying to sacrifice themselves to save Sarah, or someone who wanted the sacrifice card because the sacrifice card, although it's difficult to escape with it because everybody has to vote for you, which is like a 1 out of 8 chance, but it does allow you to escape immediately instead of waiting through multiple rounds for everybody else to die. It does give you like a fast track to escape. So there's a little bit of attractive maybe to somebody in that sense. I think now is probably kind of unlikely to die just because she was in that fan art, which was not really fan art because it was made by the author, I believe, of Sarah and Now in a bath. So, well, okay. Then we have So. So is just the same as ever, off into his weird antics. He didn't really do much until he did that business with the phone, where he put this fake phone message on it, phone message on the phone, and then Sarah picked it up. I don't know if Sal planned for that to be how that turned out. He managed to nab the phone. They changed the message on it, gave it back to Sarah with the message changed. Accidentally, Sarah apparently punched him to get the message back. Then gave it to Kana later, but with the message still changed to this positive message. All the messages were probably fake, as Sarah suggested. Why he did that, don't know. Maybe he was trying to get Kana to be friends with him. After that, while we were looking at the computer and looking at the file about the other So, I forgot the last name, So, I presume they're different So's. Or Sal or So, I don't know how you pronounce it exactly. So said, I gotta use the restroom, and left. And that's when the trade happened that gave Sarah the sacrifice card, seeming to indicate that So had the sacrifice card. You would think that whoever would get the sacrifice card would immediately try to offload and trade it immediately, so the trade intervals are a bit strange. First trade was neutral, it was just between Kaiji and Sarah. The next one happened a few minutes later, and it was between, and we don't know who it was between, and that was when Sarah and Kaiji were in the kitchen. And then a few minutes later, the trade happened to give Sarah the sacrifice card. So whoever had the sacrifice card had a tendency to hold on to it a little bit. And the only person who would really hold on to it, I guess, would be So, because he's the one who's crafty enough to do that. The others would try to just like, I can't have this, and get rid of it. So that's a little bit of a suggestion that So had the sacrifice card, and he's the one who traded it to Sarah. And then So got all goody-goody, and in the end, he suggested that he could hack into the card system. And then just before Sarah got knocked out, so she could be imported here for the main game, her card changed from the victim, from the sacrifice to a commoner, and it's unclear whether that was a trade, using the trade box that was in the winner's room, like the call box, whatever you call it, or whether it was that was So's hacking that did that, and So actually saved Sarah with a hack. And who he gave the sacrifice card to, we wouldn't know, except only one person could be the sage. That makes things kind of weird. But there's also people that were out of sight. Like, for example, Rao was also out of sight. Or what's it called? Now. Her name is, yeah. Now was also out of sight. So, could have been her instead of So. But So would know, but So's a weird personality, wouldn't say anything. Kyutaro, Kaiji, and Alice were also out of sight at a time, but the game heavily suggests they couldn't have done it because they were busy moving rocks, and Kyutaro was passed out. We wouldn't know if it would have gotten up again. If he got up again, we probably would have known that. Suggesting it was either Sao or Now that did the trade, whether by hack or by the box, and then that one of those two would have the sacrifice. So those are kind of likely to die for those reasons. Also, Sao, I said he was a poop stirrer, but this game seems to only have 3 chapters, as the third one is called the final chapter according to chapter select. So it's actually time for him that he could actually die. So that protection is a little bit lost. Let's go. So the next would be talk about Kyutaro. Kyutaro. Apparently you can't trade other people's cards because you need fingerprint identification to get into their card tablet. So I don't know, even though Kyutaro was stunned and such, I don't think, it may not be the case that someone could have forced a trade with Kyutaro and actually forcibly made Kyutaro do a trade. But they may have just tried to steal his tokens or something. Sao might have tried to steal his tokens. We don't know where the stun gun came from. So I remember it appearing before now. Kyutaro did show a escape at the expense of everybody else complex, but then that took a turn differently when it came to Jin, but then it took him 3 tries before he would hit the button. He would be the one person who would intentionally want to have the sacrifice card, such that he could escape earlier. But he is kind of still the hype man a little bit. His hypeness has faded. So his archetype has faded somewhat in this chapter. He's turned a little bit more into a villain. Not much else to say about him besides that. Kana, she's kind of there. She hasn't really done anything. She's kind of followed Sal around all over the place, but she, unlike now, she hasn't really done anything with Sal. And pulled any tricks like colluding with Sal. Next we have Sarah herself. A trade happened. Yeah, I mean, very unlikely because I know there was this flashback we had about some previous game where it showed that Sarah died in the second victim meeting, but I seriously doubt this game, all is possible, this game is going to pull a protagonist switch and kill off Sarah. That would be crazy. Then we have, let's see, that's 5. Kaiji. Kaiji remains the point man. And if Kaiji really saw the other policewoman die in the first trial, it might just be because he was with her in the first trial and he couldn't figure out what to do about it. Remember, there was 2 people in each first trial. So Kaiji could have paired with the other policewoman. Kaiji may have been able to save her, basically. That could be all there is. Not actually sure that Kaiji is really a villain yet. But he does seem to have, again, somehow killed a friend of his in the past or something. And is skirting around the subject. We have Alice. Alice has basically opted to forget about all the negative memories he's had of Reko, which may come into play in the trial because he forgot something important that he should have remembered because it was a negative memory of Reko. So he's going to be inconveniently crippled in the trial for some plot reason. Alex does bring up a concept I like to call it the spending of the character. So a character goes through a quote-unquote arc, which I kind of hate that term. They go through some event that has some effect on them or something, right? And then once that happens, it's like, we know that now that character has served its purpose, and that writer put that character in there to do this event with them, and they have less things left to do with that character. When a character dies, there's a tendency to reveal their sequence or put them through something. You tend to reveal a lot about the character in their death. So someone who's already been through an arc, who's had their character spent, so to speak, is less likely to die. So Alice seems a little bit spent, which makes him somewhat less likely to die. Same thing with Kana. Kana's already gone through her whole, I don't care, I'm willing to die because sister died thing. So she's kind of spent, which there's nothing left to do with her, which makes her also kind of unlikely to die. Okay, so that's 7. The last person left is Gin. And Gin is also sort of a spent character because he's always being used a lot. He was used in the cage puzzle, the cage minigame thing, which was kind of easy. And he was kind of used as a smell add-on site thing. He was also used in that final point of attraction thing. So he's kind of a well-used character, and so there wouldn't be any need if this game is well balanced between the characters to use him again, which also makes him unlikely to die. Basically, Kana, Alice, and Gin are spent characters, which makes them somewhat unlikely to die. But I'll put their order as Alice more likely, then Kana, and last Gin. And then last place beyond that is Sarah. Above that is Rao, just because of that art, that little piece of art I saw. So that puts those 5 in order. And then Kaiji's still the point man. So I'll put him above those guys, but still lower than everybody else. That puts 6. And then I guess Sao and Kyutaro higher. I guess Sao becomes most likely, Kyutaro, then Kaiji, then Rao, then Alice, then Kana, then Gin, and Sarah last. That's still not a very good list because it puts Sao and Kaiji still high, and Kyutaro still high. Those were the top 3 I had last time, actually, and they were completely wrong. Because it's the hype man, the point man, and the poop stirrer. Those tend to be kind of high survivability. But I can't think of anybody with even higher, like, morbidity. So I'm still going Sao, Kyutaro, Kaiji, Rao, Alice, Kana, Gin, and Sarah at the bottom. That's going to be so wrong. Anyway, let's actually do it. Main game grounds. Before me are strange familiar desks. You're here. You're early, Kaiji. What was that earlier, meow? Hey, Gashu, I have the right to an explanation. Kinda feels like this won't be a normal main game. It's starting all over again. Oh my, what a bustling crowd. Do you call for me? What's the transgression Miley mentioned? Transgression? I'm afraid I don't know what you mean. Don't tell me it's about the wallet. Oh, that reaction seemed to indicate it's not. Understand that if there truly is a transgression, it should become clear in your discussion. Supposing one is discovered, it will be addressed. Don't mock us, would you? You're the one deciding what counts as one, surely. Gashu? Call it Miley. At least call Miley so she can hand out judgment on any misconduct. Miley is the floor master of floors 1 and 2. I cannot do that. Then call Sophalin. Very well, if that will satisfy you. Please be our impartial judge. Wahahaha. Why do you laugh? I am joyful. Such determination to have a fair slaughter without having to worry over misconduct. Why you? Now then, let the second main game. Hang on. Gah. Oh, very good. Everyone has assembled. So it's starting after all? Indeed, we have talked long enough. Now we shall begin the second main game. We have Gears background. An extremely heavy air dominates the space. It's like methane. It's starting again, this horrifying game. Keeping quiet only makes time pass, guys. Let's at least decide our fate by our own hand, okay? Aw, sniff. It's okay, we've walked this road before, haven't we? Then, now it's totally different. We're allies by now. We spent way more time together. Then will you die? Let's find our resolve. You said that in the first main game, right, Kyutaro? Daw. Everyone, the card designs have been displayed in the rulebook this time. So be aware that you cannot judge using knowledge of the designs as in the first main game. Well then, please spend this cruel and dense time to your heart's content. Gashu quietly sat down in a chair. And once again, the main game began. And my clout starts at 100. I don't think I need to save here. But there will be a lot of saves later. First, let's discuss to get 4 candidates who should survive and who can die. Okie dokie, seems you're ready. Kaiji Shinogi, are you a fool or what? Have you forgotten that unlike the first main game, there have been many card trades? There's no need for worthless suspicion. We can reason out the sacrifice in Keymaster. If everyone speaks honestly. For how much you talk of allies, are you not being rather suspicious? At the very least, the sacrifice can't tell the truth, now can they? It's fine to start with finding 4 candidates. Because those who aren't candidates can be honest. Yep, and also, if we prove what everyone's cards are right now, voting is going to be hell. Well, it will be either way, though. It'll be pure blame throwing. That guy should die, this guy should die. It'll be cruel and leave no trace of any bonds we've got. I get it. That sounds great, though. Well, very well. If it'll protect your pitiful bonds, then I suppose I'll go along with this. Your pitiful Van der Waals forces. And thus allow me to say, so Hiyori, you are the most suspicious of all. This guy's lame. Huh? Please wait, So has contributed so much to helping us escape. Yet it doesn't change that he can't be trusted. Everything from his history on this is unclear. Unless you yourself speak your true colors, I will continue to. Then I'm fine being the first candidate. After all, I'm the sacrifice. What's that about? Were you listening? Talking about roles is for later. Was there a rule against confessing your own? So I see. Sorry, Kaiji, I just didn't feel comfy letting you take the initiative. I know, I'll nominate the next suspicious person, how about that? Got some no good idea again. Oppose this guy. You can't. An approach where whoever's chosen nominates the next person is just... Huh, are you panicking, Miss Sara? I'm not panicking. I nominate Kana. Why? Everyone should already understand this. She's easily tricked, timid, and lacks ability. What does she even have besides sympathy? Well, this trial is going to prove that wrong. Wasn't it you who tricked and used her? After using her so cruelly, is Sao trying to betray her? So you're giving Kana time to vindicate herself? Huh? Sure thing, let's have a discussion about Kana's actions during the death game, so that we can trust her. Kana, at first, she just holed up in Sao's room. Kana Kizuchi typically acted with him. Only Sao Hiyori can prove her actions. Let's see, Kana was dead weight the whole time. What a hindrance. Hindrance? Kana looks like she's pretty shocked to hear that. I couldn't blame her. I'm sure you understand, Sara. You can extract statements from them. And also you've got a new weapon too. Which just broadens the tool. Broadening the tool list makes the game more difficult. Don't fool me. You know, from when we were searching together, your shrewd detective vision. When someone makes a statement, you might notice someone else having a reaction. I can do that? Now let's get to it, partner. Oh, I just have extract. Okay. Kana Kazuki typically acted with him. Only Sao Hiyori can prove her actions. Of course, I was Kana Kazuchi's conversation partner for a short time as well. But it could be said she didn't hit it off. We didn't hit it off. I wasn't asking about that. Hindrance? Kana isn't a hindrance. Kana, at first, she just holed up in Sao's room. Though, later in the trading phase, did seem like she was acting alone. Is that true? But well, though said latter half, I was knocked out, so I hardly got a clue. In that case, I can't rely on him. Okay, so Kana reacts. Kana was dead weight the whole time. What a hindrance. I've been getting fed up with having a useless helper too. Just now, I felt like Sao's first statement caused someone's expression to change. Well, expression changed, I should check on them. Well, the only thing I have is extract. Oh, we have to do it like while the expression is changed? There we go. Kana, are you too shocked to speak? But it seems like she's trying to say something. In that case, I just had to inspire Kana's heart. Oh. Spam. Spam, 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 spam. Clicking on hearts really inspires them. Kana, are you fine with just saying that? It's fine, you can get mad. Oh, it's fine, you can get mad. Let what's in your heart come right out. Kana isn't a hindrance at all. Sao's saying mean things just because he can do hacking, but wasn't Kana the one who did the hacking first? Eh? Ah. Hold your horses, how'd you mean that? Kana did hacking? Sheesh, you never make yourself clear. Speak a little more detail if you can. Okay. Kana did some hacking way before Sao did any of his hacking. Or what kind of hacking was it? I figured out a password, breaking into something else's things. That's called hacking, right? Does that mean Kana is adept with computers too? I can't call something like that hacking. Don't misuse words you only just learned. Alright, Sarah, let's advance the discussion like this. Yes? Extract statements to expand the discussion. Okay. Why do you have to tutorial me again, Kaiji? Present items to use them as evidence, or have statements duke it out to find discrepancies. Extract from Rao. Does this mean Kana is adept with computers too? I heard they taught programming in middle school now. But to think they even teach hacking. Well, they don't, but they should. I'm pretty sure they don't. But what password could it have been? When I heard that, I could only think of the password to start up the laptop. But she didn't guess that. We did. You can't call something like that hacking. Don't misuse words you just learned. It's really concerning. We don't have much time for discussion. Then how about you explain everything yourself, Sao? I'm explaining. Explaining what a useless girl Kana is. I figured out a password. Breaking into something else's things. That's called hacking, right? Sao has been fretting about it since yesterday. He was going, I don't know the password. Taking his beanie off and putting it on. Suddenly I looked at Sao's hands, and was struck with how clean he kept them, even in these circumstances. And then I had an epiphany that there might be traces from the password being typed. So I figured out the password from finger marks left on the keys. Extracted a new statement. So they got into the laptop before we think they did. Okay, so we thought Sao didn't have the password, but it really did have the password. Okay, we'll just... versus these guys. Kana, could it be that you didn't use the laptop to hack? But rather you solved the password for the laptop itself? Yes? I see. Before the laptop was handed to Sal, I was the last one to enter the password. And my fingers left marks, little bits of dirt from when I pressed the keys. When did you solve the password? It was before the trading phase began. Hold on a sec. Don't you think that sounds funny, Sarah? That it does. It's unusual. Because we thought Sal shared the laptop so that he could learn the password from us. But according to you, you peeked inside before sharing the laptop with everybody? Yes. Then there was no reason to join forces. That's wrong. Sal wanted an opportunity to reconcile with everyone. Kana, sorry to say, but there was another reason. Huh? Why did Sal share the laptop with us? To look in the Sarah folder on the laptop. Yep, that's gotta be it. The Sarah folder had a separate password, which is the name of Sarah's mother. You gotta be kidding. Sal, you accepted my deal without saying nothing about this. Huh? What of it? Why you... Hold on a second, what deal is this? Don't sweat, it's just between us. I don't think so. I thought it was strange from the get-go, but it seems there is a deal going on behind the sharing of the laptop. I'll have you tell us everything about the suspicious deal. I went to Sal and asked him to share the laptop. I was surprised. Yutaro said he would give me his tokens in exchange. The two talked to each other separately by Sal's bedroom door. Kana heard it too. Sal said that's not a bad deal, and he also said maybe we'll reconcile, so Kana got really happy. Kana still believes in the goodness of Sal. I was surprised. Kyutaro said he would give me his tokens in exchange. I didn't intend to hear him out, but Kyutaro was so serious I just couldn't turn him down. And it turned out to be a good trade. Don't give me that scary look. You benefited from getting to see the laptop for free, right, Miss Sarah? I went to Sal and asked him to share the laptop. I mean, I had a responsibility, you know. When the token gathering subgame started, I gathered more tokens than anybody to survive. Even the laptop I managed to get my hands on, I handed it over in exchange for Sal's tokens. I was possessed by the need for tokens back then, you hear? Is that really the only reason? Obviously. You think Sal blackmailed me or something? There ain't nothing. Blackmail, is there really nothing? Okay. Sal blackmailed me or something. That ain't nothing. Even though the laptop was Kai's pardon gift. Okay. Because if, like, the verses didn't work, an item was going to be the word. That was the best one. Kyutaro, was there really no opportunity for blackmail? What you saying? We acquired a certain video. Footage from the first floor security cameras. I didn't know there was such a thing. It was all clearly pictured. Kyutaro placing the roll cards. And Sao seeing him do it. If this isn't blackmail material, what is? No way, Kyutaro was the one who placed the cards? Muscle Gorilla was a traitor? Meow. A traitor? Is that really the case? Or is there just some other circumstance? Ironically, it's because of my improved intuition that I don't understand. How could someone like Kyutaro be a traitor? Why'd you do a thing like that? Where'd you get the cards, Kyutaro? Please say something, Kyutaro. Secure the cameras, what do you mean? Huh? We should have searched every inch of the first floor. Did anybody find any security cameras? I mean... we didn't find any. Sure, we didn't directly find any cameras, but they must have been hidden cameras concealed in places we didn't see. You were caught on camera, that's the only proof we need. Must be a puppet show. Huh? If y'all think about it, we've been getting tricked left and right. A fake Rekko, fake Shima AI. The kidnappers can move around fakes of us whenever and however they like. You mean, looks like you got tricked, Sarah. Skipped by the kidnappers' actors are fakes, you fell for the fake movie put on by dolls. Yes, except it was consistent by certain actions so made. I don't know what you guys saw, but it was all a trap, I'll tell you. Learn your lesson. But, talk about a disadvantage. Preparing fakes to trick us with was a stellar move by our enemies, huh? And can't take Kyutaro lightly either. Looks like you've been talked down for once, Miss Sarah. Anyway, I told you about the deal between me and Saul. And I mean, after we all looked at the laptop, I was passed out the whole time. There's gotta be somebody more suspicious than me. Ugh. Hold on. Why did you pass out in the room of rubble in the first place, Kyutaro? Well, I don't remember. No way. It's true, got no memory from the moment I entered that room. When I woke up, it was the main game. Now that's a rude awakening. So surely someone else knocked him out. Then we should find out who did it. Meow, they've got to be a villain. Woof. The last time I saw Kyutaro healthy, wasn't it when we were looking at the laptop? Then after the sacrifice was passed to me, I started to panic and ran off to get tokens. Right, I didn't see Kyutaro after that. If I can determine everyone's actions at that time... well, interesting. Why don't we all give our alibis at that time? Wait, why did he respond to an internal monologue? When we shared the laptop, there were 6 of us in the lobby. Me, Sol, Kana, Sarah, Kaiji, and Alice. Sarah Shidon, we continued to look at the laptop after you took off running, though there wasn't much. After we were done looking at it, Kana went to deliver the laptop to So. Your friendly policeman stayed in the lobby for a little while. I wasn't feeling well and ran to the bathroom. I talked with Miss Now on the way back. Right, I talked with Sal about our plan to hack the fake Professor Mishima. I was searching the pitch black first floor. Meow. I was searching the pitch black first floor. I was thinking I'd go back to the 3rd floor, but there was a nuisance in the way. Woof. The laughing doll Sue Miley. It was scary. Woof. So Jin was on the 1st floor until I reunited with him on the Room of Lies. I talked with So about our plan to hack the fake Professor Mishima. I think it's because that plan went well that our escape plan could progress. So was really dependable then, and yet... Sarah Shidon, we continued to look at the laptop after you took off running, though there wasn't much. After our viewing, we went searching on our own again. I'll tell you this, I'm not the culprit, don't judge based on appearances and imprisonment. Your friendly policeman stayed in the lobby for a little while. People came by the lobby now and then, so I can verify their alibis. Any other questions, cute little detective? He's kinda in high spirits. After we were done looking at it, Kana went to deliver the laptop to So. So was talking with Now in the ruined corridor. About what? Sorry, Kana just gave Sao the laptop and left right away, so... She was worried about Sara, so Kana went looking around for her alone. Is that so? When we shared the laptop, there were 6 of us in the lobby. Me, Sao, okay. After the sound of the trade, and you leaving, Sara, I went back to searching too. After talking to Kaiji in the lobby, I went to the room of rubble and lost consciousness. Want to say I couldn't move all of a sudden, and bumped my head on the wall, but... read that again. After the sound of the trade, and you leaving, we went back searching. After talking to Kaiji in the lobby, I went to the room of rubble and lost consciousness. Okay. I wasn't feeling well and ran to the bathroom. I talked to Miss Now on the way back. Specifically, we talked about our hacking plan. Kana came to deliver the laptop during our chat. I thought about having Kana join the plan, but she promptly went off somewhere. That's my alibi, pretty much. Pretty amazing it could knock out Kyutaro. Stun guns are dangerous stuff. That statement just now. You know the weapon used well, Sal. Huh? I quietly took the stun gun from the scene. So only Gin and I knew about that. Kyutaro was attacked with a stun gun. The only other person who could know is the culprit. A most unexpected slip-up. So Hiyori used the stun gun to knock Okay, so this is Sao Hiyori. So that is the guy that Alice killed. We're just gonna gloss over that. Sao Hiyori used a stun gun to knock Kyutaro Hamburger out. Yes, it was you. You found me out so easily, mwahaha, even though I planned that out, because I'm not that stupid. Sao? Sorry, I didn't want anyone getting in the way of the hacking plan we were preparing. Then he suddenly entered the room, went and used it without even thinking. Where'd you find a dangerous thing like that, meow? Can't seem to recall. Meow? Something feels off. You'd really have to be at your wit's end to use a single-use stun gun. Was there something more going on between Kyutaro and Sao? That's enough. Just knowing who the culprit was is enough. That can't. Might be pointless to push any further. Sao's got no intention of explaining himself. For now, we should spare time for someone else. Indeed. Only now do we have the time to suspect each other. Even if it's hard to say, we have to say it. You mean, doubting so we can trust? Meow? That's right, be brave and talk, everybody. Let's discuss if there's anyone besides Sao who acted suspicious. If I have to say something, now Egokoro's actions had me wondering a bit. She was in the Room of Lies for quite a while. There's this video I've been curious about, so there's a certain someone I suspect a little. Actually, while I was searching the dark first floor, I saw a weird video. Meow. Pretty curious about Gin's actions myself. Why do you know how to get to the first floor? Okay. If I have to say something, now Egokoro's actions have me wondering a bit. She's been realized for quite a while. Yet now strangeness is easily explained by the presence of the fake Mishima. There's no reason to suspect now. He seems to kind of favor now. Actually, while I was searching the dark first floor, I saw a weird video. There was a guy with glasses and something like an axe swung at his head. Then he said Big Cesara's name. It can't be that video. Of course, I don't suspect you or anything, meow. I got scared and left the room right away, but I'm sure that was a victim video. Meow. There's this video I've been curious about, so there's a certain someone I suspected a little. Actually, this video, when I first watched it, I was too scared to look. So I used the fake Professor Mishima's monitor to play it again. What sort of video was it? Well, it's possible it's just faked, right? So I don't want to say anything irresponsible. I won't know unless you tell me. Well, look, it's that video I watched with you before, Sarah. The video I saw with her. Okay, so this one with Kaiji in it. Pretty curious about Jin's actions myself. Why do you know to get to the first floor? Him noticing a secret door just by searching the room of rubble had me tilting my head a bit. You need a better nose than a police dog to do that. If Jin had the sense of smell of both a dog and a cat, then... Do cats have good sense of smell? Just a reminder, Gin's a human. Here's all the extracts. Statements are... Pretty curious about Gin's actions myself, why do you know how to get to the first floor? The video I'm talking about, is that the video I watched with you before, Sarah? I got scared and left the room right away, but I'm sure it was a victim video, meow. I have to say something, now Agokora's actions have me wondering a bit. She was in the Room of Lies quite a while. Okay, I guess we just use the videos. It's the only video that survived, okay? Now you're talking about this victim video, aren't you? Oh, the one I dropped. Yes, that's exactly right. There was a woman tied up by chains, and this terrifying device started up. And just like that, the woman died. And there was a man in front laughing. From behind, he looked like the policeman. To me, it looked like he left the woman to die. Huh, a shocking story. But it could always be a forgery. Then why don't we ask? Kaiji, is that video real or do you deny it? I'm doubting you so we can believe you. Say nothing. I want to know the truth of that video too. Miss Sarah, it's looking like it'll be faster if you press the issue. I'm sure even Kaiji will open his mouth if his dear Miss... expose the true colors he's kept hidden so long. I'm counting on you. Falling! Oh. Expose Kaiji by my own hand. Progress. I didn't want to fight you, Sarah, but well... Can't let him mislead me. I'll choose words I can refute and talk back. I'm not good at this game. Let's discuss the victim video now, Sa. How about... Okay, there's no time limit on this. Sacrifice videos show the first trials, isn't that right? That's correct, I can't refute that. Mr. Policeman's first trial, well, everyone knows it. Hard to believe I'd show up in some woman's video. I don't know it. No, none of us have heard about what your first trial was yet, Kaiji. Please don't lie like Sao. Boy, that was a shocking comparison to hear. Sorry, I'll reflect on it. Was our scaredy cat now able to look right at the video? Well, maybe she averted her eyes in fear, it happens. If she saw it alone, I'm sure she could have made a mistake. Well, she didn't see it alone. Unfortunately, I also watched it with her once in the monitor room. There's no mistake, Kaiji. So I see. Well, I like how there's no time limit this time. Did you see your friendly policeman nice and clearly? No, we didn't, so we can't really refute that. Can't really make a great call from a backside view. True. It's no good to suspect people over dubious information. Just because we say it's not dubious? It's you who said to suspect each other so we could trust each other. If we only use concrete information, that wouldn't be suspecting, it would just be facts. Aha. Wow, I guess that was the correct answer. Like what Kyutaro said, couldn't it be some sort of fake movie? Strange to suspect it, then turn around and believe this one. Okay. Should be no different between the two after all. Yeah, here's the problem. Kyutaro's footage was not a fake movie. But this is the difference. There isn't zero difference between them. The security camera footage had no sound. I admit it's weak evidence, but you can't talk about them like they're identical. That makes some sense. Okie dokie, I'll admit that. I guess that was right too. There's no relation between the woman and me, is there? You're both cops. Seems there is one whenever you do the first trial as a pair. Friend, sister, student, teacher, any sort of connection. Yeah, there's a relationship. About that, the woman in the video is wearing a police uniform. You're a policeman too, Kaiji. Is this just a coincidence? I give. I give up. I can't beat you, Sara. Please, tell us everything, Kaiji. The video is real. The victim video that Now saw, and it was my first trial. The woman's name was Megumi Sasahara. She was my boss ever since I joined the force. So, Megumi Sasahara was one of the extras that died in the first trial. Part of the original 20. I'm Kaiji Shinogi. I've been assigned here starting this week. It's good to meet you. Good to meet you too. I'm Megumi Sasahara. I suppose this makes me your trainer. I am highly inspired by Mia Fey. You know, she wasn't a policeman, she was a prosecutor, but anyway. Well, pretty impressive for your age, Shinogi. Yes, ma'am. But you might be a bit too serious. Even if you have stamina, you have to think about how to spend it, or it won't last. I heard you were rather elite, Miss Megumi. Why would you serve as a trainer for the likes of me? I wonder indeed. I have high hopes for you. Yes, ma'am. But then came the day of my nightmares. I shot a person. The criminal in a certain case. So Miss Megumi? What? Why am I not being punished? I've killed a person. In self-defense, yes. But the criminal wasn't even holding a weapon. That's an issue. Was he holding a vape that could be mistaken as a weapon? That's just what the law says. You've done nothing wrong. Miss Megumi, I heard you made a backroom deal. So what? Get back to your duty. You're police. She's the benefactor who protected me. I'll never forget it. I owed her the worst kind of debt. Left her to die? No. But I killed her, Megumi? Mr. Policeman, get a hold of yourself, meow. Sorry for keeping quiet, everyone. Truth is, your friendly policeman's not a policeman anymore. I'm surprised. What a dangerous individual we've had lurking in our midst. Why are you such a jerk? If you vote for me, I won't complain. No. Everyone, speaking of voting, I think it's about time to decide. So you'll vote for and for which... Who you'll vote for and which four should enter the final vote. Meow. That was quick. No way, that was way too quick. Well, you need time to work out the card trades this time, you see? Precisely. Choosing a victim without a satisfactory discussion is not an outcome we desire either. Ugh. Then what do we do? Kyutaro, Sao, Kaiji, I can't rightly say you're not suspicious. Hold up, don't we need one more person, though? Troubling, huh? If it's down to 3 options, it'll make our choices that much narrower. We gotta suspect someone again. Poof, sniffle. Then maybe it's better to think of who to leave out from the final vote. Meow. Who to leave out. That's a good idea again. Really? If you aren't chosen in the preliminary vote and are dropped out, because you can no longer be chosen, there's no need to lie anymore. Indeed, that could be our greatest ally. Of course, if you're the sacrifice, it works against you. Got it. Woof! Let's talk about who we want to leave out. Meow. Progress. I think Big Sis Sarah should be left out, meow, because she's super dependable for reasoning. Woof. We should leave out someone with lots of tokens like Yutaro. Why? How about we leave out Gin since he doesn't have any tokens? We shouldn't be selecting Gin or Kon. A sacrifice on a kid's no good at all. Well, you changed your tune. Sao should be left out. He did say he had the sacrifice at the start. I have to say, I'd be glad if Sarah was left out. Right, if we're leaving someone out, I think I'd say Miss Sarah too. Maybe he thinks we're the Sal thinks I'm the sacrifice. Because you're cute. What do you think I was gonna say? When our escape failed, I looked at you and had a thought. She's acting kinda strange. You had this desperate look as if you had the sacrifice. On top of that, a last-minute trade right after our escape failed. Just a tad suspicious, isn't it? I want to know the truth about you, Miss Sarah. Okay. Sao should be left out. He did say he had the sacrifice at the start. His suspicious actions have had a purpose. By earning hate and losing trust, he's been gathering votes toward himself. So it's best we simply leave him out and have him sit in the corner of the room. If he's the sacrifice, he can vote twice for himself, though, so he'll end up being selected. Indeed. Oh, how nasty. Put some stanky in the wanky. Okay, do these conflict? Kyutaro, is something the matter? Now, being a trade just before the main game, is that true? Did you get the sacrifice card? We didn't trade. Oh. This is a protagonist culprit situation here? Huh? It's true. Yes, it's true. Which means, yeah, just maybe, I'll figure out who's got the sacrifice. No? What? How could you possibly know that from what we just... Kyutaro? I know, everyone listen up. I'm the Keymaster. Okay, so Keymaster went around a little bit, right? Kaiji had Keymaster. But then there was a trade. We didn't know what happened. We didn't actually see... Kaiji didn't seem to have any reactions to the trades. But yeah, I would have to... In order for Kyutaro to be the Keymaster, Kaiji would have had to have made a trade. He couldn't have made a trade when he was with us in the kitchen because there was no trade box there. He doesn't seem like he could have made a trade when we were looking at the laptop because, well, he was looking at the laptop. So he's the only one who could have made the last-minute trade. I mean, so he had to. The only trade that would make Kyutaro the Keymaster would have to be a last-minute one. But that last-minute trade was with Sara, not with Kyutaro. So that doesn't make any sense. So we really have to unlock some craziness to make this make sense. Yeah, I'm daring to say it before voting. What's this all of a sudden? I can't tell where you're going with this. You would say that, huh, Sarah? Huh? I'm sorry for taking the Keymaster from you. Now it's even more weird! She didn't have the Keymaster. Does he mean the sacrifice card you got sent was mine, Sara? Oh. So he really doesn't know. Okay. So the first trade was Kaiji and Sara. Then the second one we don't know. The next one was Kyutaro and Sara. But the thing is, though, Kaiji was the Keymaster, not Sara. Oh no, Sara was the yeah. You're right. Sara was the Keymaster. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I got it mixed up. Sara was the Keymaster. Yeah, I thought that Kaiji took her Keymaster for Commoner, but actually Kaiji gave her Keymaster and took Commoner. Is Kyutaro who sent me the sacrifice? And you still got the sacrifice now, ain't that right? What's he talking about? I have a Commoner card now. Kyutaro's making a false accusation here. Stay calm, what should I do? Make use of this or explain myself? Yeah, I'm not gonna do the trick everyone thing. I absolutely don't have the sacrifice. So relax everyone, you can vote for me. Huh? Now that I think about it, being thought of as a sacrifice is better than not getting votes. I'm actually not sure anymore if there's any good reason to deny it. Well, just nobody vote for Miss Sara, that'll be fine, right? If nobody votes yet, she becomes the candidate, that proves she's the sacrifice with a double vote. I would like that, but it's about time to proceed with the vote. Please wait, can we decide on such an important vote with so much still unclear? She claims she is the sacrifice. Why would you ever claim you are the sacrifice? That makes you really sus, so I guess they did the right thing. We just can't sort it out in such a short time. What do we do? One of these candidates is going to end up the victim, remember? We really should discuss some more. You sure don't know when to give up? Time is up. Please select the 4 who will remain for the final vote. Enter your votes, please. And it's manipulated in such a way that no matter who I choose, the same 4 will be chosen because plot. So I don't care. Please choose who to vote for. I can give myself a vote, and then if I get 2 votes, people I should be considered the sacrifice, and people weirdly will not consider it, because it has to be consistent no matter who I vote for. That would be funny. Yeah, let's try to break things. Let's vote for myself. All votes have been received. Displaying results. So it's designed so that I couldn't mess it. There's 2 each, so I couldn't change it. Let's look at this. So the sacrifice has 2 votes, right? They didn't vote for me because I voted for me. Okay. So Sao, Rao, Kana, and Kaiji. Now it's looking like... Okay. Yutaro's the Keymaster. Can believe him. That makes the Sage thing uninteresting. This is a very uninteresting vote. Let's look at my list of top choices. Sao, Yutaro, Kaiji, Rao, Alice, and Kana. So, my number 1, my number 3, 4, and 6 got it through. My number 2, which is Yutaro, is out. So there's no way I can get the top 2 be the 2. The best I can hope for is 1 and 3, which is Sao and Kaiji die. Let's look at the gender profile here. So, we have, counting Gin as a man, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 men, and 3 women. That seems to suggest that who's going to die will be men, which suggests that Sao and Kaiji is a good bet. So, my 1 and 3 is looking good. The first vote is over. And I wasn't chosen. Relief. I can feel my strained nerves loosening. But why these 4? Sarah, you... It's just like I said, I'm not the sacrifice, I'm a commoner. 4 will advance to the final vote. Sao Hiyori, Kana Kizuki, Kaiji Shinogi, and now Egokora. Why me? Because I had to put a 4th person in there. This isn't right. I know this despair myself. You can't want to have a conversation when you feel like this. Which is why it's my role to inspire them. Like Kaiji did for me in the first man game. Give a pep talk. Lift your heads up. We've always done when we had to do. Okay? No matter how cruel it is, you can't stop. But, Kana, we're not your enemies. Even if someone is a sacrifice, we move in the same direction. We talk and we advance the discussion. We play the game. Sarah? Right you are. The real battle begins here. Everyone? Alright, first it's time to choose for those of us who weren't picked to guide the discussion. Incidentally, I am a commoner. Be at ease. Alice is a commoner too. Muscle Gorilla, it's not the time for shrivel up, meow. Let's remember the card trades in order, woof. Yeah. Progress. Now please, grasp your fate with your own hands. May you not all perish. Now we will have an in-depth discussion on the card trades, understood? Stripey, leave us to us, meow. Gashu quietly sat in the chair again. There were 4 trades made in total. That ain't that many. By the way, I've been a commoner the whole way. Woof! Didn't get traded with even once. Meow. Trading cards requires 50 tokens. It's not as if just anyone could do it. Okay, do some extracts. There are 4 card trades made in total. That ain't that many. Honestly, it's all a mess in my head. So I didn't miscount, right? We have the original, the one between Kaiji and Sarah, the one when Kaiji and Sarah were in the kitchen, the one where we were looking at the computer, and then the one at the very last minute. That counts 4 in total. Glad we got given more time to sort it out. By the way, I've been a commoner the whole way, meow. Didn't go trade with even once, meow. My heart was pounding, wondering when I get past the bad card, meow. But my role didn't change up to the very end. Woof. I made it through all 5 trades. Meow. But there were only 4 trades. Trading cards require 50 tokens. The token rankings, as I recall, put Cubetaro Hamburger in first and Gin Ibushi in last. Now Agakura was also low ranking. Of the 4 candidates, I suppose Now was the only one who lacked the tokens to make a trade. Okay. Okay, so this is definitely a versus. This is like low-hanging fruit here. 5 does not equal 4. Muscle Gorilla, that's wrong, meow. What? There were 5 trades, woof. 5? Wait, by my memory, there were 3 trades. And I heard there was one just before the main game. Yeah, that's what we thought, right? Oh, I get it. You misunderstand, Cubetaro. There were 2 trades while you were out. What? That don't make sense. Wait, I forgot a trade too. That's our line, meow. Sorry, but nobody's given me an explanation. Oh well, that's on us. Cubetaro Hamburger, when was it you passed Sarah Shidon the sacrifice card? In fact, did you have the sacrifice card to start? No, that ain't it. The first card I had was Commoner. I get it, that tells me most of the trades. What? I don't have a clue. Woof. Why is that, meow? Because your friendly policeman was the first trade. What'd you say? Who'd you trade with and what? I gave Sarah the Keymaster. Eh? Then what card did Sarah start with? I know it's a lie, but it was Commoner. At first, I was a Commoner. You trade Keymaster for Commoner, meow. And I deepened our trust doing it. Let's do a little sort out. In the first trade, I passed the Keymaster into Sara's hands. In the second trade, what got traded? So this is the one when we were in the kitchen, right? This one, right? Exactly. Someone's sacrifice was swapped with Cubetaro's Commoner. Which is odd to give Cubetaro the sacrifice because he's the one with most tokens, so he's the most likely to trade that sacrifice. So it puts it in danger of being passed around. And in the third trade, Sara's Keymaster and Cubetaro's sacrifice were swapped. Yep, that's what it'd mean. Muscle Gorilla, tell us everything you can remember, meow. You have an obligation to properly explain us the third trade. Irk. Progress. At the time of the third trade, I was searching the first floor alone, meow, so I want to know the situation, woof. I shall tell you, the third trade occurred when everyone was sharing the laptop, correct? Those trades, I better keep them sorted out in my head, too. Oh, there was a trade sometime where you looked at your cards and it was still sacrifice. I forgot about that trade. I don't remember when it happened. Okay. Oh, remembering the trades. Now you can sort out the details of the trades. Cubetaro, why aren't you talking? At the time of the third trade, I was searching the first floor alone, meow. I was off doing all this stuff by myself, woof. I wanted to see the laptop, meow. What stuff did you do exactly? It's not relevant right now, woof. Okay. Okay, let's get this all straight. The top row of this table is what the cards everyone had to start with. Those further to the right had more tokens to spend, in broad strokes at least. The next row is what cards everyone had after the first trade. Below that after the second trade and the third trade and so on and so forth. The bottom row is after the fifth trade. In other words, the rolls they ended up with. Of course, this is all guesswork. I'll rework it if new information comes up. Okay. Ponder. There's no question that Kaiji initiated the first trade. My commoner and Kaiji's keymaster were swapped. No room for doubt, I think. How do I, like, enter a table? Third trade station, first floor alone. Oh. I should tell you, the third trade occurred when everyone was sharing the laptop. Remembering that photo on the laptop still makes my heart quake. But what's important now is that card trade. In the end, it was mutual betrayal. Kyutaro Hamburger, despite being right here, he traded a sacrifice to you. Such a cold-blooded man, don't speak of bonds to me. Huh, something strange here. Why don't you deny it, Kyutaro? What? I mean, you need a ring-up box to trade. If he used one on the spot, shouldn't we have seen him do it? What could he be hiding? Oh. Spam, 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 spam. Be as silent as you want, it's no use. Spit it all out, Kyutaro. I meant to cooperate with Sara, with everyone. But I got used for convenience. I'm pathetic, a pathetic adult. The third trade, my sacrifice being sent to Sara. It wasn't me, it was Sao's doing. Say what? I don't know what you're talking about. Sao knew. He knew I had the sacrifice. What? When everyone was sharing the laptop, Sao wasn't going to use the toilet. He went to use a ring-up box to trade the sacrifice in Sara's keymaster. I don't know a thing about that. Wait a second, he chose 2 other people and made them trade? You can do that? It must be possible, huh? So you can say that with confidence? Sao, isn't it about time you confess? Tell us the real reason for sharing the laptop. Such a deeply suspicious individual, Kaiji. The discussion is stuck at equilibrium, failing to come to an agreement. How about to hear the truth from your mouth? About what? Between the statements these two give, I should either affirm correct ones or deny incorrect ones. Kyutaro couldn't do the third trade. Right, that's correct. I was on the toilet, so I couldn't either. Affirm. Exactly, because he was with us. The question is, how did you know the sacrifice? Sheesh, just rolling on ahead is with this assumption that I knew, that I knew, huh? Did he learn about Kutaro's sacrifice via hacking? Couldn't I just take a peek to do that? We can affirm this. Exactly what a terrifying guile. I didn't do anything like that yet. Do you have proof? Okay. Couldn't I just affirm? Precisely, you saw it directly. Kutaro's intent was to negotiate with Sao. And as a condition for his trade, he showed Sao a sacrifice card. It's natural to think that. Such an active imagination, Miss Sara. How about you use that imagination to consider what their negotiation was like? Okay. Kutaro started to negotiate outside Sao's bedroom door. Huh? Were you watching or what? There's probably a testimony here. Yes, even Sao's already recognized that fact. Uh-huh, that's right. How did Sao react to Kutaro's proposition? Oh, okay. He must have let him in the room quickly and struck the deal. I'm not brave enough to let Kutaro in, this is correct. Exactly, you're frail, Sao. You surely wouldn't have that courage. Is that meant to be a provocation? It's not working. I'm sure Sao was on guard. Kutaro taking the laptop from him once before, Sao wouldn't let him in the room, no questions asked. Then did they make a deal through the door? How amusing, I just thought of a way. Kutaro slipped a tablet under the door. Wouldn't he consider I might betray him? I mean, what's the worst he could do? What's the worst that could happen? I mean, he had the sacrifice card. Deny. No, he wasn't considering it. Kutaro must be pretty pure, huh? He has eyes of a young boy. Hey, can you be serious here? Kutaro couldn't do the third trade, affirm. Question is, how did you know? Okay. Couldn't I just take a peek and do that? Affirm. Okay. Towers don't negotiate outside Sao's bedroom door. Affirm. I still exit the room quickly. Deny. Affirm. That's it exactly. That's what Kutaro did to propose his deal. Sao must have been fairly wary of Kutaro, so who could best him using force. So Kutaro informed him that he was a sacrifice in advance. Not vocally, but by showing him his tablet. Sao, you had yet another objective on top of tokens and the Sara folder. To control the sacrifice as you wanted. You got it. After the second trade, me and Kana were working on the escape plan. When I heard Kutaro through the door want to make a deal, he said, I didn't care to listen, but he slid his tablet under the door. And there I saw its sacrifice. I brave of him to go as far as offering up info just so I'd share the laptop. What do you know? Sara, you saw that 1F security footage, right? Well, it's the truth. I haven't discussed my first trial, have I? It was one absurd trial, I'll tell you. They told me to set up the props used for the death game. Then it's true you set up the cards? Yeah, of course I didn't know what they meant yet. Once I found out, I knew Kai's fate was set. It's like I killed him. Kai took the sage card I just placed at random. That's why I at least wanted to get Kai's laptop back one more time. Such an emotional story. So that's what drove you to give me a whole 100 tokens. 100, meow? That's enough for 2 trades, are you insane? But you left yourself enough for just 1 trade. How cunning, pretending to risk your life, but not forgetting to protect yourself. What dirty adult you are. Say again? All told, you left yourself an escape route. If you were in a pickle, you could pass the sacrifice away from yourself. That's why I decided to act first and send the sacrifice to someone else. To Miss Sarah, always thinking of her allies. Is that the truth of the 3rd trade? I was hopeful it might make you tear off your sheep's clothing. Why does he do all this to me? But you went above and beyond my expectations. The 4th trade was you, wasn't it, Miss Sarah? No, it wasn't, actually. What do you mean by that? I mean, the sacrifice is what killed Joe, yes? I didn't have tokens. I didn't even have enough tokens, I couldn't do any trades. No tokens? That's hard to believe. Quiet, loner. It was with Big Sis Sarah for the 4th trade. I was with Big Sis Sarah for the 4th trade. Woof. That's correct. So was I. Sarah didn't do any trade then. Well then, I must have been an ally who did it for you. Kaiji, you took the sacrifice from Miss Sarah, didn't you? What? What's the meaning of this? It's really very simple. The 2 of them were accomplices. Ahem. Miss Sarah and Kaiji formed a terrifying plan involving the sacrifice. To achieve victory in the main game, by way of said sacrifice. They schemed to escape it, working together and having Kaiji win the vote. I suspect the 5th trade that followed was Miss Sarah and Kaiji making a bluff. They just picked 2 random commoners to have trade. Then you say Kaiji Shinogi has the sacrifice? That's all a wild fabrication. I mean, the sacrifice I had was taken away by the 5th trade. Sao's spouting nonsense to lead everyone by the nose. If my reasoning is correct, Kaiji is the sacrifice and the sage is Miss Now, perhaps? I'm the sage? I didn't know that. Yep, so it may well be fine to have Miss Now die this time. Wait a second. At the start you said you were the sacrifice. Yep, that was a lie, I'm a commoner. No way, then wouldn't you be in the same boat as me? I see, I guess choosing anybody but Kaiji is the same in the end. Let's vote for Kana since she's the least valuable. So... enough. It's been a long time since I've hated somebody this much. Here's a friendly little police report. I long since used up all my tokens. And you want me to just believe that? Sao, you're just dying to say I ended up being the sacrifice, aren't you? Unfortunately, I'm the Keymaster. Huh? What are you saying? The Keymaster is Kyutaro, though. Looks like we got him good. My real role is the Sage. Kyutaro's the Sage? Ridiculous, that's impossible. It's possible, alright. And as the Sage, I'm making an announcement. Kaiji without a doubt is the Keymaster. It can't be true, that's all. It's just like, and it all flips upside down. You were on the right track to think accomplices, but it wasn't Sarah I teamed up with, it was Kyutaro. Let's tell the truth of the fourth trade, shall we? The trade, Mr. Policeman and Q-Taro. Progress. First, when Sal betrayed me with the sacrifice, I went stomping around in rage. And then they trade. The fourth trade was Kaiji and Q-Taro. Okay. When I heard what happened, I proposed to Q-Taro that we team up. So, in the fourth trade, you two traded your cards? That fourth trade sure ended up punishing the loner now, meow. Hold on, Q-Taro, weren't you passed out during the fourth trade? No, he wasn't. The fourth trade sure ended up punishing the loner now, meow. I'm sure Mr. Policeman was burning with the desire to see justice carried out, meow. He used a whole 50 tokens to trade cards with Mustard Gorilla just to defeat the loner. No. Huh? Before Mr. Policeman said he didn't have any tokens on the fourth trade. Then he couldn't have traded, Wolf. Right. So in the fourth trade, Kaiji Shinogi and Q-Taro Hamburger traded their cards? Why, can't you make a proper trade, Kaiji Shinogi? When I learned about the sacrifice incident, I proposed to Q-Taro that we team up. That said, when I first spotted him, I just pacified him since he was mad. But I ended up talking with Q-Taro and we thought things over. In the fourth trade, I traded my card with Q-Taro's Keymaster. But actually, I went and did this trade myself while Q-Taro was passed out. Seems Q-Taro figured it out during the main game and was able to put his story together. It's all owed to the power of that card, even my noticing of Q-Taro's Keymaster. Right, when Sal betrayed me with the sacrifice, I went stomping around in a rage. Seeing you acting funny, Sara, I was convinced to sacrifice and move to you. I wouldn't let it stand, I decided to knock him down and take my tokens back. Kaiji noticed me then and came to talk. He was preparing me to give up. I didn't know what Sal was thinking after all. And so I trusted Kaiji and had him take custody of all my remaining tokens. All of them? Hold on, Q-Taro, weren't you passed out during the fourth trade? I mean, Kaiji could do the trade himself, but... Is he panicking? He wasn't working out his logic. Okay, what contradicts? And so in the fourth trade, Kaiji Shinogi and Q-Taro Hammer traded their cards? This is correct. Mr. Policeman didn't have tokens, woof, so he couldn't do the fourth trade, meow. Kaiji noticed something was up with me, and I handed Kaiji all my tokens. Okay, so he first is these. You gave him all your tokens, meow? Sure did, and it seems like that landed way outside Sal's ballpark. Shut up! Running out of leeway, are we? I've still got doubts. I can't be convinced with just that. After all, Kaiji, why were you able to know about Q-Taro having the Keymaster? Isn't the only way to do that during the main game with the Sage's power of clairvoyance? Huh? You still don't know? Okie dokie, let's resume the discussion. Well, because he knew the sacrifice card went to Sara, and Sara was the Keymaster, so then whoever got their sacrifice, then whoever did the trade would get Keymaster, right? We were able to extract a new statement from Sal, I just had to keep going. Seeing through who the Keymaster is, isn't that the only way to do that during the main game with the Sage's power of clairvoyance? It's all owed to the power of that card, even my noticing of Q-Taro's Keymaster. Kaiji noticed something was up with me, and I handed Kaiji all my tokens. And so the fourth trade, Kaiji Shinogi and Q-Taro Hamburger trade their cards. The power of that card, you don't mean? Yeah, the Sage is clairvoyance, of course. The Sage could use clairvoyance even outside the main game. That's what the tablets are for. You intentionally didn't mention it. So the second trade gave Kaiji the Sage. Okay. Wahaha. Unraveling all the mysteries now. This should prove it. Mr. Policeman used clairvoyance to see Kyutaro's Keymaster. Then I made the fourth trade to swap Kyutaro's Keymaster and my Sage. And now there isn't even a need to discuss the fifth trade anymore. Convinced of your victory earlier, you confessed I'm a commoner. And any other questions? No, there's something odd about Kaiji's story. It'll become clear if I look back at the trades so far. The card I had at first was a commoner. Kaiji's was a Keymaster. And in the first trade, the Keymaster was sent to me and the commoner to Kaiji. Okay, the workout mechanic wasn't used very highly here. Next, the second trade. The sacrifice went to Kyutaro and his commoner went to someone else. Next, the third trade. Sao initiated a trade that sent the sacrifice and Kyutaro the Keymaster. Sent me the sacrifice and Kyutaro the Keymaster. And the fourth trade. The Keymaster was sent to Kaiji and the Sage to Kyutaro. Right, how did Kaiji get the Sage? The part that's strange, sure enough, it's the Sage. Yep. That's right, the Sage is out of place. Kaiji should have been a commoner the whole time. So why did Kaiji have the Sage at the time of the fourth trade? That must mean... Okay, so... let's see here. So, second is like the obvious answer. The first one is more interesting, though. Kaiji's first card being the Keymaster, that was a lie. Kaiji had the Sage from the beginning. And so his clairvoyance let him see who had the Keymaster from the beginning too. Which is why the first trade, he could make me and the person with Keymaster trade. But if he did that, hasn't he been lying to me the whole time? Are you really going to vote for Sao? Now? Something's not right, we should discuss a little more. Stop it, are you a candidate? You won't have to get picked. I'm afraid too, but I just got a weird feeling. Are we sure Sao is really a commoner and that Kaiji is the Keymaster? Now, something is odd. You're exactly right, there are still mysteries remaining. In the fifth trade, why did someone trade for a sacrifice I had? And the other party was a commoner. This isn't a problem we can ignore. Yeah, Meow, this fifth trade, we should talk about it some, woof. If by any chance we pick the sacrifice, we're done for, you know? We shouldn't need any more discussion. Kaiji? Digging up old conclusions is just gonna make us more lost. It's your turn to die, Sao. Roll credits. That's how it'll end. No. We can't do that, Kaiji. As long as we have time, we should seek the truth. Alright. Let's do it. We'll discuss the roles of the four who are in the final vote. There's someone who moved Sarah's sacrifice via the 5th trade. If Kaiji Shinogi is the Keymaster, the sacrifice should be Sao, Kana, or Nao, yes? Is the loner really a commoner, meow? Should we believe that? Woof! Alright, Sao was convinced the whole time that Sara traded away the sacrifice. In other words, Kana or Nao, which of them would have the sacrifice? I don't believe it. Kaichi and Kyutaro are lying. Okay. So sacrifice is either Kana or Rao. Got it. I don't believe it. Either Kaichi and Kyutaro are lying. Sao isn't seeming very persuasive at all. Sao was convinced the whole time that Sara traded away the sacrifice. That's to say, Sao fell for Kaiji's trick. Location of the sacrifice or any other card he didn't know one lick about the truth. If he'd stolen the tablet when he knocked me out, maybe he could have learned my card. But I kept it on me at all times to avoid just that, kept it tucked beneath my clothes. Sao didn't have a chance to do tomfoolery, he's a commoner. His tablet, huh? I kept my tablet on me at all times, so I didn't have a chance to do tomfoolery. Kyutaro, you're saying you had your tablet on you at all times, yes? Yep, take a look, it's right here. And when you woke up, where was it? On the table in the Last Supper room. On the table. I'd call that bin off you, meow. As I thought. That tablet Kyutaro has now is a spare. This tablet I picked up was lying near you when you were passed out. What'd you say? I would assume this is Kyutaro's original tablet. The question is, why was it lying on the floor? It's because Sao took the tablet from Kyutaro. What? But they were locked by fingerprints. Woof! Sure, but while near him, he could bypass that by simply pressing the fainted Kyutaro's finger to it. And so we arrive at an outrageous truth. What do you mean by that? Depending on when Sao looked at the tablet, he might have seen through our entire strategy. What? The worst time for it would be after the 4th trade. That's when Kyutaro had the Sage, and I had the Keymaster. If he saw the tablet then, he could use Kyutaro's Sage power to also know I was the Keymaster. So, has Sao just been acting fooled? Shoot, you got me. Or not. Wonder if I'm acting right now, or maybe I'm telling the truth. Sao. Not good. Now there's the possibility that Sao has the sacrifice. It's no good. We shouldn't vote for Sao Hinori. Yori. Guess not. You can vote for Kana or Miss now, whichever you like. Why you? Ooh. Well then, let's resume the discussion, guys. We'll discuss who it's safe to vote for. We gotta find the one with the least chance of having the sacrifice. Sao Hiyori must be avoided at all costs, for we don't know what he's thinking. But between Bucket Girl and Big Sis now, is there any real difference? Woof. You need a certain amount of tokens to take the sacrifice from Sara in the 5th trade. If you consider the token counts, you'll get your answer. We gotta find the one with the least chance of having the sacrifice. But I don't know the aim for the one who did the trade. That possibilities are there. What possibilities are there? But between the Bucket Girl and Big Sis, is there a real difference, Wolf? All I can think of is tokens, meow. Bucket Girl had a lot, and Big Sis now only had a little. What we even do now, meow. Tokens. Sao Hiyori must avoid it at all costs, for we don't know what he's thinking. Okay, distract. I always forget about him because he's in the lower right corner. Sao Hiyori must be avoided at all costs, for we don't know what he's thinking. We just have no to choose now, between now and Kana. Okay, what are statements? Sao Hiyori must be avoided at all costs. Okay. Bucket Girl had a lot of tokens, Big Sis had little wolf. Gotta find which one with the least chance of having the sacrifice. Need a certain amount of tokens to the sacrifice. To take the sacrifice from Sara in the 5th trade. This isn't really a conflict, but I guess you're supposed to combine them. Like Jin says, now hardly had any tokens. I mean, the button says conflict on it. That wasn't really a conflict. Surely, she couldn't have been the one to take the sacrifice from Sara. Then is now the one with the least likelihood? Wait, please. This isn't right. Big Sis now? Least likelihood? Are you going to kill me with such a vague reasoning? I mean, that's what humans do. Please, I have another discussion. You're right, we can't end this discussion. You, what are you saying? I just remembered something. There was a way anyone could get tokens. Miss Sara, you know too, don't you? A way for anyone to get token. Both of them. From my stolen wallet, right? Well, there's the possibility there that you just misplaced it like a klutz, Miss Sara. I'm absolutely not that clumsy. You could take tokens from Miss Reko's body sitting there in the Room of Lies. Big Sis now wouldn't do such a thing, meow. But it's true. When I went to check the body, the tokens were already gone. And now is closely inspecting the Room of Lies. Nah, it ain't just now who could have done it. Couldn't any of us gotten those tokens? In other words, anyone has the potential to possess a sacrifice. It all ends with a game of trust. Then, that last action is going to be the key. What were each of us doing at the time of the 5th trade? As in, just before the main game started, woof. Hope you can find the sacrifice. We have to determine, based on Sao, Kana, and Nao's actions at the time of the 5th trade. I was sitting on the stairs thinking back on everything that had happened. I was on the laptop in the winner's room the whole time. Will you believe that? You have to be in the winner's room to make the trade, so that really means nothing. Kana wasn't really doing anything, just wandering absent-mindedly. Did anyone see what the 3 were doing? I was moving rubble with Kaiji Shinogi. I didn't see what those 3 were up to. I was searching all by myself to see if there were any other exits. Meow. I was searching all by myself. Yeah, okay. A lot of extracts here. You have to determine based on Sao, Kana, and Nao's actions at the time of the 5th trade. Your friendly policeman was shoving aside rubbers. I don't know a thing. Okay. Kana wasn't really doing anything, just wandering absent-mindedly. Kana, why aren't you speaking? Question her. Are you hiding something, Kana? Eh. Come to think of it, I feel like you were the only one I didn't see around then. Really? Where were you? I mean, I was looking for something I dropped. Something she dropped. I wasn't able to find it in the end. I just ran out of time. Oh. Did anyone see what the 3 were doing? If only I hadn't passed out. I was on the laptop in the winner's room the whole time. Will you believe that? There was also a ring-up box right in front of me. What do you think, Miss Sara? I can't take Sao's claims seriously. I was moving rubble with Kaiji Shinogi. I didn't see what those 3 were up to. I rested for not a second while moving that debris. All I can prove is Kaiji Shinogi's alibi. I was searching all by myself to see if there were any other exits. Meow. I didn't see those 3. Meow. Sorry, woof. Come to think of it, didn't you tell me you found something while searching? Meow, yeah. There was a smartphone on the stairs. Woof. What? But it wouldn't even make calls. It was useless for escape. Meow. Well, do rouse, but I know what to do here. I was sitting on the stairs, thinking back on everything that had happened. The hope of escape had vanished. I couldn't even stand up. Everything I'm saying is true. Sarah, please save me. Well, she was definitely not sitting on the stairs the entire time, but it seems that we want to conflict. We want to not really conflict. We want to actually agree, but this mechanic is called conflict. Kana and Yen. Kana was looking for something she dropped. There was a smartphone on the stairs, Wolf. Kana, was it a smartphone you lost? How'd you know? Sure enough. I bet it's the same smartphone I found in Kana's first trial room. Jin, tell me, where did you pick that up? It was a ways down the stairs, meow. Sheesh. She must have just dropped it while we were all climbing the stairs, surely. That's not it. That's not it. Think back for me. When we were climbing the stairs, Sao and Kana were walking in front. If she had dropped the phone then, everyone would have noticed. In short, this was only dropped after we all climbed up to the exit. Kana dropped it while descending the stairs. What did she descend for? Why did you try to hide this, Kana? Because... Big Cesar, there's a message in this phone, meow. Right, that's what Kana's sister... Huh? It's a different message. Now it's Kana's turn to protect her big sister. Because that's how Kana can atone. This? Please give that back. Hold on. Did you write this, Kana? But Kana's big sister is already dead. Could it be the sister in this messages? No way. Surely not. Is that right, Kana? Your sister here is me? Yes. I know it's strange. But Kana, you're... And so you wanted to save Sarah that much? Yes. Hey, Kana. Was it you who traded away Sarah's sacrifice? To avoid using the ring-up box in the winner's room, you returned to the 3rd floor to trade. Hey now, you were talking about talking like Kana's... Are you saying she took the sacrifice to protect Sarah? That's so. It's inconceivable. No, I don't want to conceive of it. Deny it, Kana. Uh-huh. What worthless reasoning. That's all a load of... No, it's all correct. You idiot, don't say anything. Kana did the 5th trade. She won't hide the truth anymore. Why would you want that, Sao? She would take Sarah with her, not you. Kana. Kana did it. She really did it to protect me. She took the sacrifice for herself. This is just the worst outcome. Such foolishness. Sao, you caught on at some point, didn't you? That's why you were trying to move the votes towards Kana. Shut up. Since there is no other way for Kana to survive, Please wait. Will you listen carefully to what Kana has to say? With the 5th trade, Kana switched her card and Sarah's card. Once she knew escape wasn't possible anymore, she had no idea what to do. Then she looked at the phone. Seeing her sister's words calmed her heart, and she came to despise herself for not being able to do anything. This whole time, Kana had just kept betraying. Her sister, the others, Sarah. She just had a feeling that Sao had sent a sacrifice to Sarah. Kana doesn't get the complicated trade talk, she can't even reason out who gave who what. Even so, she was certain of just one thing. Because Sarah is so kind, she couldn't trade the sacrifice to anyone. Kana? She didn't want to let Sarah die. And also, she didn't want to make Sao a murderer. That seemed more painful than her own death. So she traded her commoner for Sarah's sacrifice. Kana? But... The card she received was a commoner. What? What's going on here, Kana? Kana doesn't understand either. She's sure she traded cards with Sarah, but it wasn't the sacrifice? Unthinkable. What is Kana saying? It's all true, please believe me. Sao hacked it. At any rate, we just have to talk about Kana's statement. I can't believe Bucket Girl. Woof! She's lying to try and confuse us. Meow. Well, maybe Kana just messed up. Who she was trading with or something? Some unique situation that caused the rolls to just disappear? Is that possible, I wonder? It was a machine error. Maybe the tablet broke and the trade went wrong. Don't tell me. I wonder if Sao hacked the roll cards themselves. I don't know what to believe. I can't see through to the truth in their hearts right now. So we might just have to find the objective truth. The truth. Okay, it's worked out now. So we know who the sacrifice is. It's Rao. Huh. You in the bottom right, you outlier out there. It was a machine error. Maybe the tablet broke and the trade went wrong. This is the truth. The truth can be very simple. I can't believe Bucket Girl. Woof, she's lying to try to confuse us, meow. She's been betraying us over and over, meow. She even's less trustworthy than the loner. Woof! Don't trust Bucket Girl, big sis Sarah. Don't tell me. I wonder if Sao hacked the roll cards themselves. That might be an absurd opinion, but Sao was spending his remaining time messing with the laptop in the winner's room, right? I wonder, did he hack the card data then? Is that even possible? Because, I mean, there isn't anyone but Sao who could cause an irregularity, is there? Someone who could cause an irregularity. The doll could. That's what, what's-her-face, Miley was accusing him of. Some unique situation that caused the roll to just disappear? Is that possible, I wonder? Maybe the influence of Sao's hacking extended the roll data or something. Some nice evidence would make that a whole lot more convincing. Too bad. Maybe Kana just messed up, but she was trading... who she was trading with or something. I don't know how the ring-up boxes work, but... if you're just saying names into the receiver, there could be mistakes. Well, and yet my sacrifice definitely moved. If it ain't Kana's mistake, then maybe the floor master purposely changed the destination, something like that. Gashu changed the trade? Come to think of it, wasn't Miley talking about some transgression of Gashu's just before the main game? That's what I was thinking of. Okay. I have to extract him just so. Sao was hardly saying anything. I can't read his thoughts. Yeah, extracted. Okay. It was a machine error. Maybe the tablet broke and the trade went wrong. Can't believe Bucket Girl. We know it's wrong because it said it worked out. This isn't anyone but Sao's who could have caused an irregularity, is there? Okay. That music is getting annoying. It's like boss music, but then it was like, starts to get annoying after a while. There was a possibility. Something separate from Sao's hacking. And an irregularity that definitely occurred. The transgression by Floor Master Gashu. Excuse me? Remember what Miley said before the main game? Gashu, are you listening? You've already gone and mucked things up. You made a flagrant transgression, one that shakes the very core of the main game. And despite being such a huge transgression, it hasn't shown itself at all thus far. And now, this illogical movement of the cards that's tormenting us, could this very issue be Gashu's transgression? If we believe Kana, that's the only explanation. So Uncle Crabstash manipulated the movement of the cards, meow? But the Floor Master, what could be the merit of doing that? Well, there's some merit. There's some sort of merit, and that's why Gashu pushed us through the argument. I see. If his goal could be made clear, maybe we'd know. Who he moved the sacrifice to, that is. Quite the off-mark inference. Is it alright for you to be using your time on this? Gashu, if you haven't engaged in any misconduct, then promise us. I know the Floor Master's code. If we can expose your transgression, this main game won't count. We demand a second attempt 24 hours later. Ha ha. You just know everything, don't you? As to be expected from Mrs. Sara Shidon. Promise or no promise, I will simply carry out my duty as per the code. Whoa, you for real? He said it within 24 hours we could even reattempt our escape? But are you certain? If you cannot prove it, you will only be losing time to spend on your own on other reasoning. It's okay. This new possibility we spun, this theory wasn't being directed at Gashu. Sal, please tell us the truth. The other possibility is that you did some sort of hacking to the roll cards, Sal. If we know whether that claim is true or not, we can fight. Let's all combine forces to win an extension. Kana? Yes? You really don't have the sacrifice? It's okay, Kana really doesn't have the sacrifice. I see. I didn't access the roll cards. I didn't do any hacking to them. Sal? That's the truth, Miss Sara. No lies, no tricks. Alright, let's quit deceiving each other. Let's work to expose Gashu's transgression. Just what I wanted to hear. This is a turning point in our destiny. A path we could never have reached if we were trapped by endless suspicion. The path of us all trusting each other and battling the kidnappers head on. Together we'll expose Gashu's misdeed. Gashu had something to gain from tampering with the trade. Perhaps he sent the sacrifice towards someone who he wanted to kill. Or else you think there was somebody who Gashu didn't want to die. Is there an answer to in the clues we have left? There's a fundamental issue. Maybe the sacrifice wasn't actually sent to anybody. Perhaps he sent the sacrifice card towards someone he wanted to kill. Think about it, Gashu has plenty of reason to hold a grudge toward him. By formulating an escape plan, he trampled on his honor as a floor master. You're talking about Sao Hiyori! There's a fundamental issue. Maybe the sacrifice wasn't actually sent to anybody. So Gashu's transgression was making the sacrifice vanish. Seems unthinkable, sure, but it's just one possibility. There is something curious about the antagonism between Gashu and Miley. Is there an answer to the clues we have left? Out of all the evidence we've seen so far, is there anything related to this transgression? There's something like that. If there is, I should show it to Kana. If there isn't, I should tell her there isn't. Okay. Or else you think there's somebody who Gashu didn't want to die. The person with the sacrifice is real likely to die. That's why Gashu meddled. I don't want them to die, so I'm going to sacrifice to somebody else. Who's them there, here? That's obvious, the person who normally end up having the sacrifice. Kana. Gashu had something to gain from tampering with the trade. It's out there, but maybe in reality Gashu's an ally. Like he wanted them to be exposed so he could put a stop to the main game. Is that too unthinkable? Is there an answer in the clues we have left? 4 people are nominated by preliminary vote. In the final vote, 1 victim must be chosen. Commoner no powers. Keymaster all die if chosen. Sacrifice has 2 votes, but lives only if chosen. Filmed by the 1F security cameras, shows our past actions. Sal witness Yutaro placing the cards. Papers listing participants in the death game. There are only 16 names. A tablet used to check your roll cards. Stun gun. A disposable stun gun that can immobilize a person. It's dangerous, so again, I took it in secret. The victim video now shows a policeman dying in the first trial. Is the man in front Kaiji? Out of all the evidence we've seen so far, is there anything related to this transgression? No, none of the evidence. That's what I thought. We've discussed all the evidence already. Unless there's some new evidence that hasn't come up in discussion, I don't see any leads. Some yet unused evidence. Use the victim video. Okay, let's long shot this stuff. Oh, okay, that was a real long shot. The only clue that hasn't been used yet is this roster. It looks kind of familiar. That's just the torn up paper I found on the first floor, meow. Though what use could this have? Why do you have that? Eh? Oh, Miley. Curse her. Handing internal documents to participants. Internal documents? Gashu, just what is this roster? What indeed? Irk. He caught on to the fact I don't know what this means. You did good, Sara. Huh? Gashu just made a slip up of the tongue. You freaked him out. However, could you mean? Kai was a whole lot better at playing dumb, huh? What meaning could these papers have? I can't even guess, but there's value in solving this mystery. Wayne got Tom. Let's thoroughly talk out anything suspicious about this roster. There are 4 bound sheets, and 4 names on each sheet. Sides are names. There's a bunch of names I've never even heard. Huh. This roster doesn't seem to be sorted by name. Hold on a sec, there are participants whose names aren't on this, huh? A roster? It's reminding me of something, meow. If you want to look closer at the roster, tell Mr. Policeman and we'll have a look at it together. Let's look at it together, Sara. I can see. Okay. There are 4 bound sheets and 4 names on each sheet. Who would have made this roster, I wonder? Probably Miley. It's what Gashu's reaction seemed to indicate, too. Is there no follow-up to these sheets? Follow-up? No, there wasn't anything else. Is that so? Sorry. Solids on names, there's a bunch of names I've never even heard. Kurumada, Hayasaka, Kinashi, Tsurugi, and a ton of other peeps I don't know. Were these people who died in the first trial before we could meet us? They can meet us? That might be it. How many people these kidnappers gotta kill till they're satisfied? Nah, now's not the time to get emotional. Hold on a sec. There are participants whose names aren't on this, huh? Joe isn't on this either. What are you trying to say? Sorry, no ill will meant. I'm just laying out the facts to reason from. Because he just happened to be there when they were kidnapping Sarah. Counting them now, there are 4 of us participants whose names aren't listed here. 4 of us? Right. Joe, Joe's not on it. Sal's not on it. Rao's not on it. Kai's not on it, but he's dead. Kon is on it, Kyutaro's on it, Sao is not on it, Rao is not on it, Gin is on it. Okay. A roster isn't reminding me of something, meow. Roster, roster. Oh, I remember it, meow. The bar on the first floor, woof. There is a list of names on the blackboard, meow. Now she mentioned it, that was a roster too, but I couldn't possibly recall everyone's name. I memorized it, meow. Huh? There. Canned drink was Alice, Kai, Kazumi, Kaiji, Shunsuke, Sao, Naomichi, Mai, Megumi, Reko, Kyutaro, meow. Can't drink was Anzu, Kana, Gin, Kuji, Sara, Joe, Now, Hinako, Ranmaro, Woof. That's amazing, Jin. Easier than learning the prefectures of Japan, meow. By the way, Big Sis Sara, your roster. It's missing the names Kai, Sao, Kuji, Joe, and Now. This is important information. And was that useful, meow? This roster doesn't seem to be sorted by name. Look at this, the names are sorted by percentages. Now how creepy, what sort of statistic are these numbers supposed to represent? Those numbers definitely stick out as odd. Might they hold the key to solving this? Okay. Big Sis Sara, your roster's missing the names of those people. The roster seems to be stored by the percentages. There are 4 bound sheets and 4 names in each sheet. Besides our names, even a bunch of names I've never even heard. There are 4 of us participants whose names aren't listed here. I mean, this isn't really a conflict. The conflict button is not being about conflicts for some reason. So, what'd you just say? Huh? That there are 4 people's names missing? Meow, Kai, Sao, Kuji, Joe, and Now aren't listed, so... Huh, that's 5. Woof. Huh? I guess I rushed and miscounted, sorry. So, this ain't the time to be poking at little mistakes like that, alright? No, that mistake wasn't just a trivial issue. Why did Sao get it wrong? That's what's important. Gashu, tell us how many participants were dragged into the death game. That would be 20. There are 16 listed on the roster. If we add an unlisted 5, doesn't that count to 21 people? One too many. What's that mean, meow? There were exactly 20 names on the blackboard. Woof. Well then, let's compare the names on the paper roster with those on the blackboard. The blackboard names were like this. First, the 5 not listed on the roster were Kai, Sao, Kuji, Joe, and Now. Let's remove those 5. On the first sheet, all 4 names are present. On the second sheet, similarly, all 4 names are there. On the third sheet, this one too. On the fourth sheet, Kana, Gin, Hinaka, and Shin. Huh? Shin Tsukimi. That's the only person not on the blackboard, meow. We've derived a 21st person. What's going on? Just who is this person? Who is Shin Tsukimi? One of us. Is it one of us? Okay, let's calm down. What does that mean exactly? An alias? If someone is using an alias, I see. Shin Tsukimi is one of us. And they rewrote their alias on the blackboard. No way. Aha. Interesting. If we follow that logic, Shin Tsukimi has already been identified. What'd you say? Sorry, let's work this out. If all the names on the paper roster are real, there's someone whose real name hasn't been revealed. Someone not on the roster. It's one of the people on the paper roster. Kai, Sao, Kuji, Joe, or Now? Right, you are. Alright, I wonder if you pick me, but that's not the right answer. I want to get the right answer. Alright, let's discuss those 5 names. This is my real name. Professor Mishima always called me Miss Now, remember? I'm using my real name too. It was written there at the prize exchange, right? Kuji is the name of Kana's sister. If Big Bro Joe was using a fake name, Big Sis Sarah would figure out right away, meow. Kai's name was on his laptop, based on the email log, should be his real one. If you want to check the roster, come tell Mr. Policeman anytime. Sao's already dead, so obviously Sao's not really Sao. I'm using my real name too, as written there in the prize exchange, right? Is this any time to be talking about this name? Let's see if there's an item I can use. Are we gonna use that concept from that other game? We don't have the laptop in our... Okay, I'll hold off on this. I know the answer to this is Sao. Kai's name was on his laptop, based on the email log, should be the real one. Well, I haven't been shown the answer, but it's pretty sure. Ain't thought trace of him called another name. Kuji is the name of Kana's sister. It's the real name, of course. I would never forget my precious sister's name. Whoops, that probably made the recording a really weird there. If you want to check the roster, okay. This is my real name. Okay, this is the best I think I can do. I want to conflict Kyutaro with Sao, because he's the one who mentioned the laptop, which is what I'm trying to get at. Never mind. What's the matter, Kaiji? Oh, just impressed by how calmly he could lie. Lie? So I recall the prize exchange. The prize exchange? Huh? Remember, there were photos, but no names anywhere. Oh, that was right. I must have had it wrong. So, what exactly are you afraid of? Afraid, Sao is. You said you'd tell the truth, right? To defeat Gashu together. We're your allies. Try trusting us, Sao. No. Shin Tsukimi. Sao is Shin Tsukimi? I want to trust you all too. But Sao, he's trying to say something. In that case, I'll draw it out. Come on, let me spam. Spam time. Oh, it didn't work. Feel my heart trembling. Should be just one step away. Okay. I almost clean sweep this. I lost clout finally. Gah. Ready and spam. 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 Oh, I didn't spam enough. Phew. Sal, this is the moment you reveal your true self. My real name is Shin Tsukimi. Because Kaiji murdered Sao Hinari. I'll tell you everything, no, not Kaiji, Alice did. Even the secret of that roster. You know about it, Meow? Yeah. Because that's exactly the same as what I got in my first trial. What did he say? Tell us, what the heck does that thing mean? It's the victory rates for the participants in the death game. Protagonist power, I see. There's the weird percentages on the left, right? Those are everyone's chances of surviving the death game to the end, their odds of winning. Foolishness. How would they know such a thing? Because they tested it with AIs. They used the AIs of us to run tests. Right, they ran simulations of innumerable death games, all done entirely digitally. They explained at horrible length to me how accurate this data was. And I saw my own percentage. Certain death. I absolutely can't survive this death game. That's why I had to abandon myself. Well, that's a great thing to see. I don't want to die. I can't stop shaking. I'm going to be killed. Everyone will vote for me and kill me. I don't want that. Hey. Hiya. A shadow illuminated by light spoke to me. Just a random question, but you know what a majority vote is? Oh, so this is plot. You talked to me and cornered me. Okay, then let's go. Gah. It hurts, stop. Strength in numbers. You're a helpless sheep. You'll be eaten by the strong. If you don't want to die, you change. I threw Shin Tsukimi away. Sao. Why assume the name Sao Hinori? Was it an acquaintance? I wonder. Dear me, what a heartwarming tale. But time has expired. Heart-wrenching tale, but time has expired, everyone. We're out of time? Sorry. It's nearly time for voting. Hold on a sec, our discussion. Did you make any progress? It was all unrelated to my transgression. Revealing the truth of the roster, did that make any progress? That's... Shin Tsukimi, have you any more info on this roster? If I did, I wouldn't hide it now. Sar, is there any other evidence that proves his transgression? I have important evidence. Let us hear it. What would that be? I didn't save the game. No. There's no save file. Can I save file? Unfortunately, that appears to prove nothing. God, no way. Are you giving up, Sarah? I rewrote the blackboard, and also, I destroyed my own monitor in the monitor room. I've told you everything, just like I swore. So please save me. Win is an extension, please. Of course I will. Of course I will, Sal. Sarah, this is our last chance. Let's think mad about anything connected to this transgression. We'll talk about it and win, Meow. No slacking, Loner. Yeah, I know. Guys, our discussion is definitely progressing. We unraveled the mystery of this roster. Let's trust that the truth of this transgression lies beyond that answer. It's your final discussion. Use it meaningfully. Okay, my lesson from that is... Save! Nope. Got it, this roster lists the chances of surviving from the participants in the death game. You said they determined these chances of victory by running simulations with AIs, right? Is there something about these sheets we're still overlooking? Indeed, the most unusual aspect is the fact there are only 16 names here. If Sao was an alias, that means there is actually 4 not listed, right? Kai, Kyuji, Joe, and Now are the 4 not on the roster, Meow. Kinda curious how Sarah's chances of victory are the highest, huh? Okay. A lot of extracts. Indeed, the most unusual aspect is the fact that there are only 16 names here. Shin Tsukimi there stated that this roster shows rather accurate chances of victory. But what about the chances of the four of us, the four who aren't listed? And how does adding those four change the chances of victory for the ones that are there? Don't you think their actions could even affect the odds of the 16 for the 16? As for the for the reason they're not listed, I don't want to think it, but perhaps those four are dolls or something? Or there's just a missing card. Dolls. Kai, Kuchi, Joe, and Now are the four not on the roster, meow. Since we learned the loner's real name, there's no question it's these four, woof. But I do know what they have in common, meow. There's a mix of living people, not living people, and someone we never met, woof. There must be something in common. You said they determine these chances of victory by running simulations with AIs, right? Our AI cells must have killed each other over and over to produce this data, and then been reset to do it all over again. Could that monitor room have been the place where they did the test runs? Oh wait, they're AIs, so they'd only have to fight digitally. True, no reason they'd have needed to assemble in that room. Come to think of it, I heard there was something unique about the AIs in the monitor room. They were all the candidates who survived the first trial. All the candidates. Kinda curious how Sarah's chances of victory are the highest, huh? Let's check it together, Sarah. It should be 100% because I'm the player character. Is there something about these sheets we're still overlooking? We've established the chances of victory and everyone's real names, but for instance, we haven't touched on them yet. So maybe there's something odd about the occupations. If Sal was an alias, that means there's actually four not listed, right? Can't think of any common points between those four, but maybe we can figure out something in common between the 16 who are on the roster. What do 16 have in common? Got this roster list of chances of survival for the participants in the death game. Even if I wasn't told any more details than that, I just got a whole lecture on how exact and unmistakable their data was. Can you recall anything else at all? Or, well, what is it? Now that I think about it, they might have used the word candidates, not participants. Well, now that there's any difference between participants and candidates, is there? If there's a chance the kidnappers were using those terms distinctly, then maybe participants and candidates. Okay. Well, not that there's any difference between participants and candidates, is there, unless the kidnapper's using them distinctively. Perhaps the four not listed on the roster are dolls or something? Four not listed are a mix of living people, not living people, and someone we never met. Gashu said the AIs in the monitor room were the candidates who survived the first trial. Kinda curious how Sarah's chances of victory are the highest, huh? I haven't touched on them yet, so maybe there's something odd about the occupations on the roster. We should think about what the 16 in the roster have in common. I mean, I messed up. There we go. Well, that was dramatic. Hang on. What's this about candidates? Are participants and candidates really the same? The participants, those are the 20 people who were brought into the death game. Then what are the candidates the Floor Master speaks of? Those qualified to win? It's those with the qualifications, the right. Those who fulfilled the conditions to be the ultimate winner. And with that in mind, if Gashu, who swears loyalty to the organization, were to make a transgression, he'd try to kill a candidate. Did he try to kill a candidate? Wrong. That would be defying the organization. If Gashu, who swears loyalty to the organization, were to make a transgression, what if there was one of us who didn't have a right to victory, a non-candidate? Gashu would try to kill them. That's why he tampered with the sacrifice. I should know it now. Who were here is not a candidate. Please select a non-candidate. It's Rao, right? Yep, it's Rao. Now, or whatever it is. Yes? You have to sacrifice, don't you? Huh? This roster lists the names of the candidates. Those who are qualified for victory. Even Shin Tsukimi with a 0% chance to actually win is listed. But now, out of us survivors, their name is the only one missing. And in the monitor room too, there is no AI of you. No, there didn't exist a now AI to begin with. Because you were an outsider who didn't meet the qualifications to be a candidate. And so Gashu tried to kill you. He sent the sacrifice with its high risk of death to now. This was your transgression, Gashu. Fantastic, simply fantastic. Well done, Miss Sarah. I'll cooperate. You solved it. You solved Gashu's. Indeed, you are the chosen one. All the energy's leaving me. A long discussion. At the end, we earned it. Victory. A moment's survival. I'm sorry, everyone. I kept quiet about the sacrifice the whole time. When I thought about what would happen if we weren't able to expose him, I just couldn't say it. It's not your fault now. All the fault lies with Gashu. Answer me, Gashu. Candidates, this death game, what's all of it mean? I will say but one thing. Everyone, have you ever harbored doubts about your upbringing? Yeah? That is my first and last hint for you. Last, Miss Sarah Shidone. You have overlooked something important about the Floor Master's code. About the code? It is written clearly. If there is misconduct during the main game, it either proceeds with the transgressor's death, or it must be retried 24 hours later. Huh? There's another option. The transgressor dies. And it doesn't get retried. And I promise you that I will fulfill my duty as per the code. If I take responsibility on my life, then the main game shall continue. You're kidding. Stop. Everyone, please earn victory. No way, this is foolish suicide. No. It's impossible. It should be over. Why this? Because the game's structure must be maintained. He's going to do this from the start. He was going to do this from the start. Why? For just a day's extension, we hung on stubbornly and put our lives on the line. And yet Gashu casually threw away his life. He easily shot down our hope. Who would be capable of such a thing? He's a demon. A demon. This shouldn't have... Safalin? Please, it's an emergency, right? Suspend the main game. I can't do that. I can only act as a substitute. No, you're really going to continue? This is always in the rules. If I refuse, everyone will die. This isn't right. This isn't right at all. I'm begging you, it doesn't have to be 24 hours. At least let us retry. I'm sorry. I'll do anything, just please. I'm sorry. Now is a sacrifice. No one will vote for her. And we need to choose too. One of the commoners, Sao or Kana. Now is the sacrifice. I'm the keymaster. We can only vote for Sal or Kana. I guess it's clear who you will vote for. Oh. Extract. I guess it's clear who you'll vote for. I'm tired. As much as I contribute, everyone's going to choose me, right? Yep, because you have 0% chance of winning. That's just how it goes. It's all deterministic. It's all Laplace's demon. Everyone, huh? Won't you vote for Kana? Now's the sacrifice on the Keymaster. We can only vote for Sal or Kana. Please, someone save me. What's our items? Okay, you did all the extracts, right? As much as I contribute, everyone's going to choose me, right? Everyone, won't you vote for Kana? Now's the sacrifice. I'm the Keymaster. We can only vote for Sal or Kana. Oh. Well, I guess we just conflict. This hasn't been working as a conflict thing recently, but... Huh? What are you? Please vote for Kana. What are you saying, Kana? I'm sure you understand. Between Sal and Kana, which of us isn't necessary? Kana already intended to die from the moment she tried to trade for Sarah's sacrifice. Kana, please, this is about the only thing Kana can do. In exchange, I want you to believe in Sal, because he's really not a bad person. Why can't I say anything? Kana's throwing her life away to protect Sal. Am I just going to watch in silence? Kana. Don't be ridiculous, Kana. Sal. Self-sacrifice, that's worthless. You really are a kid, Kana. A thoughtless kid with a backward notion that if she dies, it'll solve everything. My feelings won't change. Be quiet, Kana. Guys, we have our conclusion. Hurry up and vote. Sorry, you hated me from deep down, right? Aren't I awful? You won't get another chance like this. Sal. Kana doesn't have any wisdom and can't even hack. I told you to shut up, Kana. Please remember the first main game. We all chose Kai as the victim. For our survival, we didn't choose by feelings, but logic. But wasn't that a mistake? Real failure is wavering. Not trusting your beliefs is weakness. Stop it. This time, the right thing is to choose logic so that you can escape. You should choose Kana. Just stop it! Just leave it up to a vote. It's time to vote. I cannot wait any longer. Touch your voting tablets, or everyone will die. Got it. Mr. Policeman? Just voted for Kana. Kaiji? Thank you very much. Saying a joke, I'm ashamed of you, Kaiji. Sacrificing a kid for the sake of adults, that's a demonic choice you just can't make. I'm voting for Sal. Alice, you chose Kana, right? I can't choose anyone's little sister. Shin Tsumuki, I'm voting for you. Fine by me. Now, if we just vote for ourselves, that's 3-2. Gin, it should be an easy choice for you too, right? I do hate the loner, but it's not like I wanted to die. Dumb butt, if you don't choose me, I'll use you next and get you killed. Erg. You don't have to take responsibility again. Big Sis Sarah, if you vote for Kana, they'll be tied 3-3. Your vote won't cause anyone to die. But then Big Sis Sarah, your vote will... It's okay, Gin. I'll take responsibility. I voted for Bucket Girl Meow. Now it's just me. My vote will decide everything. Will decide it all. Ahahaha. We did it, Sarah. Now, do you remember the conditions for the sacrifice to win? Sacrifice wins even if it's tied for first. Sal has 3 votes, Kana has 3 votes. And as a sacrifice, I can vote for myself twice. If you vote for me, that's 3 votes for everyone. I can win by a tie for first. Say what? Let's return home together, Sara. Big sis Sara, you won't do that, right? Please select 2 to vote for. I can't save. Let's do the interesting one. Displaying results. Thank you so much, Sara. No way, Big Sis Sara, you betrayed us, meow. Haha, can't be serious, you wouldn't. Is that your answer, Sarah Shidone? Is this really reality, Kaiji? The strong will tell you. I'm your ally, don't be afraid, trust me. And in the end, they'll betray you. At the convenience and whims of the strong, the weak will die. Well, learned a little something about how uneasy a weakling always feels. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm so sorry. I've gotten tired. I don't want to die. I just want to go home. I don't want to play this death game anymore, even if it costs all your lives. So, goodbye. A sea of red unfolds before my eyes. There's no salvation. Tearfully, softly carried out, exacting executions one after another. Everyone's struggling in anguished screams. I didn't listen to them. There's no way I could. Kaiji, Jin, Kana, Sao, Kitaro, Alice. I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. Sara. Don't cry, Sara. From now on, I'll always be with you. When we get home, I'll make you some delicious meals. We'll sleep soundly, bathe in the morning sun, go on walks together. Let's live happily forever for everyone. It's okay. I'll bear this cross. You did nothing wrong, Sara. You did nothing wrong. You did nothing wrong. Sara, you did nothing wrong. Ending 1, Massacre. Yeah, that was good. Okay, let's try this again. Okay. Let's do the verses. Okay, let's do this one. Yes. Votes have been received. That's just fine, Sarah. You hated me enough to kill me, isn't that right? That's true. I did want to kill you. That's why you weren't mistaken at all. Well then, I'll announce the results. The Keymaster was Kaiji Shinogi, the Sage was Kyutaro Burgerberg, the Sacrifice was now Egokoro. I see, so this is your answer, Sarah. Now, it's strange, I couldn't stop shaking from fear, but the moment you decided that stopped. I'm glad. I'm glad I didn't have to betray you all. Oh, I forget to mention, the second card trade was by me. I traded away the Sacrifice card by using the tokens Rekko had on her. So Rekko protected you once now? You were close friends to Rekko, there's no question of that. Thank you very much. I wonder if I'll meet Rekko and the professor over there. I want to finish that painting. Well then, it's time for the execution. Wait. Miss Sarah, take this. This is... It's an instant death switch. Unless you want her suffering to be long, you just have to press it. I don't want to die. Don't push it. Begin. What's the death mechanism? Okay. Wait. Don't press it. Don't want to die. No. Death by midsection cinch. That's pretty gross. Professor, I'm sorry. The present I was going to give you, I still couldn't finish it. That's all right. You'll have plenty of time now. Paint to your heart's content now. Yes. I couldn't push the button. To the very end now said she didn't want to die. There's no way I could push it. Once again, I couldn't protect them. They died again. Next is Sal. Wait. Stop it already, please, Soflin. Please move aside, I need to activate the device. Don't kill Sal. Don't kill our ally, please. Ally? Worthless, so worthless. You don't have any last words, do you? I'll begin the execute. No, I'm not gonna die. Huh? You think I'll do what you want? Your collar. What? Exit that way, huh? It's futile. This facility has a defense system. Pant. Got weapons like this too? No dice after all. Pathetic after all I did. Maybe I should have believed in everyone. Miss Sarah, there is actually just one thing wrong in your reasoning. And I'll tell you what it is. My final present. Where'd Sal go? There's no save. My feet move as they guided by something. Some sort of premonition is calling me. Sal. Sal's body is limp. No. You can't, even after you've got your collar off? You said you wouldn't let the kidnappers do what they wanted, right? Please, respond. I keep shaking him, but he isn't moving a muscle. He's not breathing. No. Sal has already expired. Wah! Even Sao. Wah! Everyone just keeps dying. Whatever I do, as much as I struggle. It was all meaningless. I'm powerless. I can't stand up anymore. Zit. I hear a noise from the monitor. Is this on, I wonder? No, it doesn't matter. I don't want to think anymore. Nothing is going to change now. My actions can't affect anything. Everyone is dying, just like Sao here. Something's off. Why is Sao in this position? Don't tell me Sao was trying to use this machine. Looking closely at the keyboard by his hands, there are blood stains from him using it. Did Sao turn on this monitor? But for what? Looked at the monitor. Huh? What? Is this some kind of joke again? There's a familiar face. The face of my best friend who I always saw at school. Joe? Is that Sarah? What's going on with me? Inconceivable. It's another hallucination. I've finally broken down. Because there shouldn't be an AI of Joe. But that doesn't matter to me right now. Joe, is that you, Joe? Oh, yeah? Sarah? Sarah, what are you crying for? I couldn't do anything. I killed you. Even though you were my best friend. Sarah? But still, I vowed to everyone that we would escape together. And yet they've kept dying. Professor Mishima and Kai and Reko and now Sao. I can't protect anyone. I can't save anyone. I can't do anything. My heart has buckled under. Get a hold of yourself, Sarah. When did you become such a whiner? I mean, those tears don't suit you, Sarah. Why? You're so cold, Joe. You know, we were hanging out all the time before we even knew it, huh? Having stupid talks on summer break, buying junk food after school, getting Ryoko laughing at us. But when my grades tanked, you were the one freaking out, Sarah. Never asked you to go studying. Oh, and I remember all those dumb requests you made me sing at karaoke. I sang with all I had, so you were cracking up. Every day was super fun, man. And when bad stuff happened and it wasn't fun, you were there talking to me. Sarah, I feel nothing but gratitude for you. Gratitude? I do know about all this betrayal or dying. Don't have any memory of that part. But I know this. You'll always make choices I can trust, Sarah. Joe? Were you thinking I hated you or something? Don't put me down, Sarah. I'm not that self-righteous a guy. So don't cry anymore. So cheeky. When you're Joe of all, then you're Joe of all people. Sarah, believe in yourself. I'll always follow you. You know, like a dog. Oh, that's right. Guess I should say, well, it's hard for a guy and a girl to say this sort of stuff to each other, but I love you, Sarah. You're my best friend. I always wanted to say that too. Joe, you're my best friend. Don't cry anymore. I won't lose. Please, always watch me from close by. Yeah. Thank you, Joe. And also, Sao. It was always clinging to me. This false hallucination I created, but now I won't look at it anymore. I'll move forward, and I'll end this death game. Sarah? I'm okay now. Big sis Sarah. That look on your face. Listen to me, everyone. We're not going to kill each other anymore. They won't make us do that ever again. We're going to end the death game. Wahaha. I'm on board no matter how tricky our opponent. I'm gonna fight too. I shall avenge Reko and now. I don't want anyone to die either. I'll make them learn Sao's regret, meow. I won't submit anymore. Everyone is prepared. We won't lose our way. Let's claim our future. Now the summary. You're doing well, Sarah. Your father's glad you've survived. Now let's begin, shall we? The final death game. To be continued in the final chapter. Hey there, can you hear me? Yes. Good, glad you responded. I'd like to know soon about the death game you were involved in. It's not anything too difficult, is it? I'm begging you. Thanks. So I'm not gonna read this out loud. I'm just gonna like click through it, have the text. Oh, it adapts. I like notice how they like doubled them up. But Kana was always just a bother to her. Even that time when it mattered most, she couldn't do anything. So she thought she was hated. But that message made her remember that surely her big sister was watching over her. That she had to stay strong on her own. But well, the truth is she knew that it wasn't her sister who wrote that message. There's people who try to protect Kana. There's people who work to encourage her. So she doesn't want anyone else to die, because they're all just kind people. Everyone, this floor will be closed off soon. Please proceed to the next floor quickly or else your callers will. Yeah, I know. Miss Sarah, could it be that you're cured? Of my hallucinations, you mean? It felt like I'd been having a bad dream. I tortured myself with hallucinations of my own making. I wonder what the Japanese word is for translating hallucinations, because that's not quite the right word to use there. Anyway, but I've woken up now. We're gonna have player character sprites. No, we won't lose to the likes of you. Right. Best of luck then, Miss Sarah. Just what I've come to expect. You've always stand right back up, Sarah. It's not like it's on my power alone. You mean Sal. Can't say I had a handle on him up to the very end, because I kept getting used and falling for lies. But it's the truth that he tried to protect Kana. Guess so. You gotta live one for his sake, Kana. Don't go thinking about self-sacrifice no more. Yes. And for Big Sis Now's sake too. Now. That's why we gotta pull out all the stops now. Then should we not head to the next floor now? I wouldn't care for my collar activating. We'll restart our escape plan once we're on the next floor, meow. This time was escape for sure. Kana. Kana has clearly changed. I might say she's gotten stronger. With each sacrifice, we change. That's right, so no one's death will be in vain. Let's get a move on, everyone. They got rid of her bag under her eyes sprite detail. Right, after you, partner. Okay, save. Quit game. To title. Whoops. we're gonna pick up on this save file. A lot of dialogue you couldn't save during. It's kind of inconvenient. You couldn't save through this whole dialogue. This doesn't matter. Okay, finally we got to the vote. Now, this time we're gonna vote for Kana. Thank you, Sarah. Why didn't you choose me? I'll never forgive you, Sarah. Sarah, before I go, could you give me a hug? Yeah. You're warm. Well then, I'll announce the results. The Keymaster was Kaiji, the Sage was Kyutaro, and the Sacrifice was Nao. Isos, this was your answer? Now. Okay, so, this is probably the same dialogue. Okay. I don't know how to do this part. That took too long. Okay, I presume this is the same scene as before as well. Okay, next is Kana. Wait. Stop it already, please, Sophalin. Don't move. That's Gashu's. You come near Kana, I'll shoot. It's futile. Kana's execution won't be changing. Why? Ain't you different from Gashu and Miley? You carried out her execution with such a pained look. You don't really want this, do you? You don't understand, do you? I've always been your enemy, you see. I'm coming closer. The gun let out a click. It was empty, I see. It's fine now. Thank you, everyone. I assume it's just a head explosion. This is how the Chosen One meets her end. So long as the flowers don't wilt, her body will always be preserved beautifully. Worthless. It's all worthless. The Floor Masters, Sara, every one of the riffraff. I'll kill every one of you who killed Kana. That's right. And first will be Sara. I wonder where Sao is. I searched around, my mind dazed. I couldn't save Now or Kana. I don't care. I don't want to look at that reality anymore. For now, I'll look for Sao. What doesn't let me save, I presume this is going to be sort of like a knife ending type thing. My fate move is guided by something. Okay. So go to the room of rubble as usual and probably get stabbed. The screen is glowing. I wonder what it is. Gaze at the screen absentmindedly. Okay. So I have the same Joe AI scene. Okay, so I'm gonna move through this. Let me hear it. Who'd you kill this time? You're wrong, I didn't kill. Gotta ignore it. You voted, didn't you? So it's not the same scene. Okay, you sacrificed someone weaker than you to survive. No, that's wrong, Joe. I mean, this isn't Joe. She would have survived no matter who she voted for. Sorry, you've really changed. I can't breathe. I'm being killed by my hallucinations. What's your excuse for this time, Sara? Ugh. Shut up. What do you know? You left me and died on your own. Just give me a break, forgive me. Can't do that, Sara. You know how much I suffered? I'll show you once more. Eh? Wah. A lot of as. A lot of ammonia, essentially. Sara? Are you okay, Sara? Kaichi? Big Sasar, you came too, meow. You were passed out in the room of rubble. In front of that video. It was an AI of Joe Tazumi. Why in the world was that there? It was a fake Joe somebody set up out of malice. Sara, don't worry about anything it said. What are they talking about? Kaiji? Who is Joe? Okay, so same thing again. Okay. Just two died. It was this one. So I'm guessing that it's possible at this point that there really could be two different variations. Okay. Hopefully it'll let me save. So this is slightly different, but what if we left him and he died? Seems unthinkable to me. Don't you suppose he's gone on ahead instead? I wonder where on earth he went. Maybe he doesn't want to see us anymore. Got it, woof. I'll look for him, meow, so you guys just wait, woof. Quit it. You make it sound like we're being selfish. So noisy. What's gotten into you guys? Sal? Cutting it awfully close, Try greeting me with a smile next time. We're allies, aren't we? Like I can be all smiles right now. But I'm smiling, see? Just stop it. The one you were trying to protect, we just went and... What would that be? What would that be? Oh, you mean Kana. Well, it was too bad. In that main game, Kana even went and got the sacrifice. But alas, she didn't get the chance to choose me and have us escape together. Couldn't use her after all. A shame. What's so funny? How pitiful. If ever there was a world where that happened. Kana wouldn't pick you, she'd pick Sarah. Did you really think she'd pick you? Shut up, Kaiji. I know that, of course I know that. You just want to laugh at me, because I'm fated to die no matter what. Well, go ahead and laugh. Quit with the lies, Sal. You put your life on the line to protect Kana. You are ready to throw your own life away. Those weren't rational actions. They were your heart screaming out. And we obstructed it. You must hate us to death. Regardless, we have to cooperate. Kana made her choice. This is going nowhere. Enough, let's hurry to the next floor. Sal, you sure are strange, Kaiji. During the discussion, I could have sworn you wanted me to die so bad. Well, it's different now. Oh, I don't understand him, this man, Sal. He's just desperate, meow, I'm sure of it. Humph. Very well, I suppose we're desperate ourselves. Now to the next floor so we don't die. Man, this game both needs a backlog, and it also needs a way to save in the middle of the dialogue, so you don't get those long stretches of inability to save. Anyway, due to some extenuating circumstances, I'm going to have to quit right here. I would ordinarily anyway. Make sure it actually saved. And then we'll pick up on the final chapter, I presume. So it lets you select who died, Rekko or Alice, and then it lets you select who died, Kana or Sal, which suggests that there actually is different versions of the final chapter and the second part of the second chapter written for different casts, which is kind of a big undertaking. And we'll figure out how that works exactly when I try to play the final chapter with both character combinations. Well, actually there's 4 character combinations, but the 2 I have queued up right now at least. Okay.